Greetings, blessings, and salutations once again, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott, and today we have an amazing opportunity. Rather than just listening to me go on and on for the first however long talking about things that I think, today we're going to be blessed with a friend of ours, The Machine Lies, to discuss a topic that many people don't understand. We'll let Machine Lies get into this, but we're going to talk about time, the mysteries of time, the illusion, the power, the force, what it might be. So with that, brothers and sisters, please, on this stream, I encourage you, maybe he'll bring it up himself, but I encourage you, grab a pen, grab a notepad. Today might be a day for some brilliant discussions. I know I've had my own thoughts. Today we're going to get his, and together, who knows where we'll go. My brother, welcome. It is truly an honor. The Machine Lies.
Greetings. I hope I'm coming in okay on your end there, Brother Talcott. But yeah, I have an interesting presentation to give about time, the paradoxes of time, how it affects our perception of or psychology of memory, knowledge, technology, and among other things, and also how it affects our ideas about God and how we interact with the world. And yeah, I suppose I'll begin there, by invoking God and and all of those things,
Brother, beautiful. I got time as it relates to memory, knowledge, technology, and amen. We are bringing in the wisdom and the guidance today. Hey, do you want me out of the screen? You want me
it's up to you. It's up to you, Brother Talcott. You're welcome to stay right there if you want to. I don't mind at all. But yeah, I encourage everyone to grab a notepad, take some notes, and obviously patience comes from the Most High God, and haste comes from Satan. It's the one who prods us along, forces us to go into things, speed into things. And this is why God creates without a plan. What do I mean by God creates without a plan? Well, all plans are, subject to collusion. And as it turns out that when God creates a thing, he creates it for the first time ever, because God is omniscient. He doesn't have to base his knowledge of creation on some previous form of creation. When God creates something, he creates it for the first time ever, and he doesn't need to create based on any knowledge of anything. So this is the first thing, is that God has an instantaneous form of creation. That means that God calls things into existence, and God actually creates. One of the first things that God creates is time and nothingness.
Please allow an interruption. I'm seeing
no worries.
Seeing a chat.
Oh, whoops. Oh, whoops. I'm muted on my own channel.
Yeah.
That might be a problem. Yeah, I'll repost this on my channel. I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't. I don't know how. I guess I'll have to bring myself in. Am I still there on the other channel as well?
You're clear here. Yeah.
Okay. I'm clear here, but I'm not showing up on the other channel. Can everybody hear me now? Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. But as it turns out, I know everything I said, so so it's okay. It's a presentation, folks, so no worries. I got it for you guys again. But yeah, yeah, as I was saying that haste comes from Satan and patience comes from God. Satan is the one that prods us along paths with quickness and certitude that we shouldn't go along. While God encourages us to have patience. And patience is a virtue and knowledge is a commercial. What do I mean by that? I mean that knowledge only points to what should be done, but we need patience and courage in order to do those things. So who strengthens us to do those things? It's God who strengthens us to do those things. And so I evoke the name of God, and also to say that God creates without planning. And this is what I just explained before I was painfully muted on my own channel. But God creates without planning. When God conceives of something, he creates it for the first time. God does not have to create anything based on any previous plan, because God is omniscient. So his act of creation is instantaneous. God calls things into existence. He doesn't base his creation on any previously existing thing. And this is important for us to ponder, because God is what created time and nothingness. These are two things that don't exist. They don't exist alongside God. They don't influence God, but God himself has created these things. And I'll expound more on that. But I want to say that, as it says in the Tao Te Ching, it says one should remain in a constant state of departure while always arriving. And what do we mean by that? We mean that, as the poet and jazz musician Sun Ra said, that the light of the future casts the shadows of tomorrow. And what this really means is that past, present, and future actually intersect with each other in interesting ways that cause us to have paradoxes and certain confusions. And this is really what we're here to talk to you about today, starting with the paradoxes of time. So I'll go into four paradoxes of time, four forms of time. And Aristotle said that there's different types of causality that exist in the world, but you can never follow causality ad infinitum to its source. Causality is out of the range, because causality is only dealing with physical relations and processes, but time deals with something far beyond that. So there's actually paradoxes of time itself that go beyond causality. So time is actually much more profound than the notion of causality, because it's not dealing with these notions of necessity on the one end and possibility on the other end. And I'll explain that in just a moment. But first, I want to explain the paradoxes of time. So first and foremost, the first way that we see time that is paradoxical is in a linear fashion. Now, this simply can't be true, because time, going in a linear fashion, it has to always progress forward. And we know that time doesn't progress towards anything, but time does, in a sense, march on. So it moves forward, but it doesn't move towards anything. So this linear notion of time, and besides, we don't measure time that way. For example, seasons have a cyclical time pattern. They don't have a linear time pattern. So the way we have to measure time is through cycles of repeating time. And so this linear model, it's true in one sense, but it's false in another sense, because there's in no time where you could say this was a beginning and isolate that beginning from the rest of time itself, on the one end. But also, time doesn't just move forward to what, time may actually have an ending in the future. So we may not know if time actually moves forward ad infinitum. So this linear model has to be discarded with. Now we move towards a cyclical model found in theology, where time is a circle, and you could draw the first one as a line going upwards, like a staircase. You can draw the second one as a circle, time repeating itself cyclically. As In the end, it will be as it was in the beginning. And this is another notion of time, because from God we come and to God we shall return. So in the beginning there was God, and in the end there will be a union with God, and everything that isn't in unity with God will be terminated. So in some sense they have this cyclical view, which is almost like a theological view, but this has a sort of infinite element too, because you could keep going around the circle. you know so there is a sense in which that also doesn't match up to reality itself. So then you can move to a third notion of time, whereas the past and present and the future intersect at different moments, and these moments are random, and you do tend to see these this emerge in our everyday experience. It seems like random bits of our past, or things that brought us along to a future state, kind of intersect into where we are now. One of the things that I laugh and think of a George Carlin joke where somebody asked him the time, and he said, when? Just now when you asked, or now, when we are, and he said, there's no such thing as now. There's only the the um the recent past and the immediate future. You can't grasp the present. You can't hold it in your hand. You can't make reference to it. So a lot of people think that it's fleeting. But of course, this is another persistent delusion. A last notion of time. Okay. Let me explain the spiral time a little more, because it might be a little confusing. Picture three strands of time: past, present, and future, going in a forward cycle. And at random times, they tend to pull towards each other and intersect. So there's no telling when this is going to be. There's random attractors. Sometimes the past looks like the future. Sometimes the future looks like the present. And it just randomly intersects. And this is where the notion of like things like synchronicities and other and archetypes and those types of things originate from. This irregular notion of time. This chaotic notion of time. And this brings us to the last notion, where there is no linear time, and this was conceived of by the Stoics, where they conceived of amor fati, which is the ultimate fatalism of accepting nature, and they believed in eternal recurrence, which means that you have to accept the same moment. There's no linear progression for time, but time is just a repeating moment over and over and over until you accept the moment. You can't change your fate. And that is the last moment, or paradox of time. Obviously, that is the most arcane version of time itself. Now, we know a picture is worth 1,000 words, but a moment is worth a 1,000 pictures. And of course, you could isolate each moment, and you can divide it for infinity. There's infinite divisions within a finite boundary, but nothing is isolated from each other. But this is the wonder of technology. Technology both isolates and connects everyone. So we have this diminishing of the spatial relations, because we're talking to each other across large spaces, but yet we're doing so from a point of stillness, from a point of sedentary, there's a sedentary and isolated quality to the way we relate to each other through technology, because it requires mediation, the tools of mediation. And this mediation allows us to filter ourselves, but also put on a mask in a way, but really it changes our perception of time, because the more choices you have, the more open you are to communicate with people. Imagine you walk in a room, and everybody's talking at the same time. Well, of course your voice is being heard by more people, but what you're saying is being heard less, because everybody's talking at the same time. And this is the crowding. That crowding changes our relation to time, and the more things are happening in a space, the faster time progresses. It accelerates our experience of time, because there's more shit jam packed into a moment. you know um so this takes us to another delusion, which is necessity and possibility. Now, it seems like necessity, because if we're all because if everything is necessary, then we're all linked by the chain of what is possible, because each moment exists. We're pushed into each moment, forced to respond from where we are. But what we do, we're not in charge of what comes of what we do. In other words, life is activity and not production. It's not that we go on. We live life through experience, through direct experience of it. And that goes to another way that we perceive time, in which we think that things are happen through necessity because of causality. But causality is false, because if you think of two if you say one thing caused something else, you'll never be able to know if they actually caused, or if there was something in between those two events that caused it. This is all causality actually diminishes into interrelations. On the one end, it's diminished by our mind perception of the events, and on the one end. But on the other end, it's diminished by the fact that there's so many minute instances between events that we could never say that one event caused another event. And this is the radical empiricism of Hume, where he just rejected causality, because he said, if you say one event caused another and there's something else that came between it, then you're mixing up cause with correlation. And this is a mistake that a lot of people make. Is mistaking cause with correlation and necessity with possibility. There's no such thing as possibility, because there's no such thing as randomness. Everything that's possible, that can be possible, can be achieved now. In other words, anything that can happen will happen. Possibility is nothing more than what is actual. And this goes to the far end of my to my presentation here, where I will present some of my thoughts here, that not everything happens for a reason, but nothing is random. There is no such thing as a coincidence, because all is connected. And activity is spontaneous. Activity happens on the level of spirit and intuition. Now mind happens on the level of relation and knowledge. And mind deals with organization, whereas the body deals with techniques and intuition and intelligence. And ultimately, I want to present to you a radical notion of knowledge. And this is why I said, probably you should take your notes out. But if you don't want to do that, it's fine. This presentation will be available later. But the first way that there's three notions of knowledge that relate to the past, and three notions of knowledge that relate to the future. The first notion of knowledge that relates to the past is instinct. Now I define instinct as memory without learning. Now, the second level is intuition. I define intuition as learning without memory. You know it intuitively. You didn't have to learn it. Now, the last level is knowledge itself. Now, although knowledge is gathered in the past, you have to use it in the future. So knowledge is sandwiched in between past and future. And this goes to our next level, which is thoughts. Thoughts can only think about the present. So thoughts are limited in thinking about the present. The imagination it doesn't have to be focused on the present. The imagination is something that is a reflection on thoughts themselves. So imagination is a layer above thoughts themselves. And the final level is experience, the level of activity itself. And this is the level of spontaneous information, of the spirit of how God creates and all of that level. It's a level of pure experience. Who experiences all things at once? Well, that is God. That is actually God. And but how does God put experience into the person, into the world? Well, this happens through inspiration, and this is the highest level of future knowledge, is inspiration itself. Inspiration almost cannot be defined within within the context of realization of even experience. People think of inspiration as totally alien. Ask an artist and you'll know that inspiration, it's not contained within experience, or memory, or any of the past notions of knowledge that I just mentioned. But this relates to our how do we heal ourselves? The first way we heal ourselves is to know that God has an overall plan, but this plan is not set in stone. That means we shouldn't submit ourselves to fatalism, but we should realize that God has destiny for us, and this destiny is alive in purpose. It's not alive in utility or usefulness. you know now utility is what we're going to use things for. It's what things are used for. It's means to ends thinking. But purpose exists. It's what things are created for in the beginning, without what they're used for, without their use. Purpose exists without use. Purpose is what things are created for. It's their destiny, my brothers and sisters. And that leads us to the persistent delusions that people have, where they deal in escapism. They want to escape from the moment. They want to deal in idealism. They want to deal with things that aren't happening right now. With made up fucking categories and shit, like that. You have people dealing in voyeurism, that think that seeing is believing instead of doing things. You move one grain of sand and you can change the world. It's true. Even a scientist knows, they can't predict the formation of the clouds, and the flap of a fucking butterfly's wings can cause a hurricane. These are facts. So deal with, be aware that your most minute actions have profound results. Act with awareness. And I'll also say, live without fear. And there's my little 20-minute presentation. Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed that presentation.
Holy cows. Let me, serious brothers and sisters, thank you. I have become such a fan of wisdom, and your articulation of some of the mysteries and the way you broke those concepts down in such a beautiful, smooth way. Thank you, brother. And I'm grateful that it is recorded, because this is when I'll probably go back to. You brought up some perspectives I had not considered, and I'm very grateful for everything you shared.
Oh yeah, and for any of the audience, I have lots of materials, lots of hours of ability to discuss these topics and themes. So I'm available for people on my channel, on Talcott's channel. You guys could reach out to me through him, or any way you want to continue these discussions, or to expound on any of these themes, or come let us know what you think, or yourselves, if you're willing. There's no worries.
Brother, amen. I saw Flo had dropped the link previously, if I can find that, or if someone can drop Machine Lie's link again for us, please.
Yeah,
Thank
Flow
you,
State.
brother.
Yeah, Flow State is also a wise brother, and shout out to Flow State's. His dear sweet mother who I heard told him that worrying is like praying for something you don't want. And that's another delusion of time that we're dealing with. Christ says in the Gospels, worrying is like counting the hairs on your head that are going to fall. You don't know when that's going to happen. So why would you worry about something? So blessings to Flow State and his mother, for laying down that piece of wisdom that's essential. Because people are worried about too much shit, and we don't need to be worried. We need to be courageous about what there is to do. All timing needs opportunity. And timing and opportunity are not the same thing. So we gotta,
Yeah.
so we gotta strike it when it's hot. You know what I mean?
Brother, I don't want to interrupt the flow, but I was ignoring the chat because I wanted to focus on what you were saying. And at a couple of times I did glance to the chat. There's been I'd like to take just a moment. Hey, Talcott Express, blessings for that. Jessica Janes, get chalked up. I am the Dow. Um, Producer Moose, I saw your request for the restream. It was something I hadn't considered, and we may. I think we are likely going to open up the link for others to join here. But I'm gonna be selfish for just a little bit longer, if that's all right with you. Okay. As I said, my heart moves. Uh, I respect wisdom I hold wisdom in such high regard, because brothers and sisters, and your words about God too, brother, those moved my heart, my spirit. Okay. The faith, the devotion that I feel from you, and this concept of time. I meant to come back and give some credit to the chat, but I'd rather be up here. Sorry, guys. um, Time. I was. I haven't gone quite as in depth with time as you, but I've recognized it truly is a mystery, and
Yes,
there's something about divine timing. That's what I call it. That you can have the opportunity in front of you, but if it's not the right time, it ain't going to happen.
that's right.
And we don't necessarily get to choose that time. I did make some notes from some of the things you said, man. Life is an activity, not a production. Friggin' love that. Here's where I broke down what time is. Time is it's the it's both objective and subjective.
Yes,
uh
yes, that's the most profound part of it. Yeah, that is the one thing that escapes philosophical, justification or inquiry because of that. Because you can't put
it's
it in either category.
it's the observation of change. Change can
Yeah,
only be observed because of the subject, the observer, and form, right? So change and form reveal time from
yeah,
space, which is
yeah, and that
nothing.
goes. Yeah, yeah, and that goes to the notion of Parmenides, who said that it's all essentially just one. So it doesn't change, uh, because there's movement within. Movement has to be in relation to something, and this is one of Zeno's paradoxes.
Yes.
Zeno was a student of Parmenides, and he actually denied movement. They said they said you know you know since movement has to be in relation to something, you could never get from one point to another because you would have to get halfway to the distance, then halfway to the distance, then halfway to the distance, and halfway, so they said you could essentially you would never get there. So they said movement only happens within, in other words, everything is in something or on something, but where is the all? Well, it can't change, and it can't move. So they thought, and there was other philosophers who came and said there's one, but that one actually does change within itself, and that one is constant change within itself. And that's a disagreement between Parmenides and Heraclitus, where they actually, one of them denied time, and one of them said no, time exists because everything is chaos and change. you know
It's
it's an interesting thing, that it was like the first thing in philosophy before even Socrates that they debated, was the notion of time itself.
well, and this is what I find so interesting too, is these concepts have been considered, theorized, philosophized for eons. And yet, what do we teach our children? Obey the clock, obey the calendar, right? And the psychology of time is something that is quite interesting as well. Um, but here, time really is an illusion. Einstein said it, many others have said it. It's a persistent illusion, but it's undeniable that time is experienced, right? It's only experienced within duality, because duality is where um, time and space can exist, but duality can only exist through
That's
our
right. It can only
interpretation.
exist in, yeah, that's right. It can only exist in the perceptions,
Yes,
and that's why perception is basically duality itself. Because in order to make something an object, you have to say that it exists outside of yourself, and you have to isolate it in time from the relation of every other thing. That means that, ideas, if they're made correctly, they shouldn't have, properly speaking, they shouldn't have histories. When we seek to, when we seek to reflect on something, we chase, we chase our, we want to look at something, and then use our thoughts to get at the real thing. But in analysis, we want to look at something and then get our thoughts out of the way, and just look at the thing. You know what I mean?
in true
Without our
analysis,
thoughts being in the
yes,
way of it. So reflection is different from analysis.
yes.
And this is one of the main things, too.
Hey, brother, these are profound thoughts that I've considered things like this before, but for someone else, it may sound confusing, but it makes sense. This is these are beautiful explanations.
Yeah, it's
Let me,
it's the biggest problem in philosophy, I would say. It's the boss of philosophy, time itself. You know.
well,
Uh,
hey, I made just a couple of notes for myself for the time, in
for sure.
that time is the illusion that we believe in, um, because we believe that we are, but we believe we are in duality, and duality exists only in consciousness. Duality is imagined, it's imagined separations from unity, and that imagined separation, the trap that we're seeing everything from, is form and time.
That's right. Yeah.
it's it's beautiful and mysterious, but then, so what does it all mean, right? One of your paradoxes, well, some of the things you brought up too, man, you inspired a lot of conversations I'd like to have, but um, how the past, present, and future are intertwined and inseparable, yet are they? And the key comes down to, and I had to practice reminding myself this a lot. Um, I only live right now. It's real easy to get worked up about things I imagine in the future, but getting worked up about those things will cause me to bring those things. It will increase the likelihood of bringing those things into my life. The goal and the key is to have peace. Oh, time, right? It's a reality that we all deal with, right? Time is as real as we are. Um, so they say, but I don't, didn't mean to get off track. The purpose of becoming one with God, the spiritual path, what Yeshua, Jesus, what many of the prophets were teaching is the unity of God. How do you become one with the Creator? Become one with the creation that is you, and all that is of the creation right now. And so rather than focusing on our memories or the imagination, focusing on a schedule that we agreed to in the past, right? Rather than focusing on these schedules and these plans, man, get lost into each moment, whatever it is you're doing. Bring your mind, body, spirit into now and feel life, and allow the future to be revealed to you, through you, for you, right? And as you, because you are me, man. I am you.
Yeah, that's like it's like a lion. A lion is either playing or hunting, and it doesn't decide what to do. It either has two modes. It's either 100% or 0%. you know, and that's a good way to engage with things. To not be lukewarm into things. It's a good way to have sincerity. Is to throw yourself into what you're doing. And that's why the samurai, Sunetomo, he said, all you have is your present means to achieve what you want at this moment. And to not believe in necessity, but to follow through on what you on using what you have to go where you need to go with what you have now. Use what you know now to get to where you want to be. you know, what I mean?
Hey, sorry to interrupt, brother, not to take away from what you were sharing.
No
If
worries.
have you met Jesse with the missing link yet? Well, he's I believe, and I he hosts the Missing Link, a talk show. He interviews people. They tell their stories. He's
Oh,
offered.
he's
Looks
talking
like
to
he's
me.
offered.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
for
he's talking to
you,
me.
man.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Of course. I'm welcome to give any presentations anybody would want on any show if you guys want. Yeah, there's no
Well,
worries.
how about this other question? I haven't yet dropped the link. We got about 35 or so viewers here on this platform. You feel like open the panel up, have some conversations?
Of course, of course. Yeah, I welcome anybody to talk about whatever they want here. If they want to focus on the discussion of the day, of course, that would be optimal. We try to keep people focused, but and tell people what the time is. But of course, tell us what you think, guys. You know, and be happy to have anybody, and anybody from my channel, wants to come up here. Of course, you guys come up here and tell us what you think. I invite the people from my channel as well. Come to Talcott's channel and click on the link there. I know I don't have it.
You can copy from here and post it over on yours if you've got it
Okay.
open.
Okay, yeah, I guess I'll have to do that here. And actually I don't even okay, yeah, and there's okay, so it says there's 28 people watching on my channel. So boom,
Sweet.
we got,
Sweet.
so peace to our, 50 or so people watching this, hearing a beautiful presentation on time. I appreciate you guys very much. For
Hey,
sure.
amen. So let's go into, if you don't mind, the importance of this. Why why should we understand about time? Hey, we've got
Well,
actually.
Well, I think that there's just I think the two main things, and I heard this explained at one time, and I don't mean to keep saying time as I'm explaining the concept, but yeah, somebody said that it seemed true enough, intuitively true enough to me. They said depression is worry about the past and anxiety is worry about the future, or something like that, to that effect. And I
Yep.
feel like that isn't, there's an epidemic today of,
Amen.
depression and anxiety. People feel either hurried or they feel like things aren't moving. They feel stagnation, isolation, alienation, foggy somatic detachment because of technology. And they do think that things are speeding up. There's new changes, innovations, where they'll use progress and change as a slogan wherever you go. They'll beat you over the head with it. And you say, hold on, what about patience? What about knowledge? What about these other what about
Quality.
tradition? There's another one, tradition. you know
Well,
Ooh,
they say the only constant is change.
and
yeah.
from our perspective, it is. And so we can, excuse me, we can complain and be angry and resentful about anything we want, including the fact that we are. And, I used to be pretty angry and resentful over the fact that I had to live because I was depressed and anxious, worried about the future, pissed off about the past. Oh man, I found reasons to be unhappy every friggin' day.
Yep.
But it's unhealthy,
Usually when
guys.
I'm angry and resentful, it's probably because of something you did, Jack.
Could be. I seem to offer offenses to many, even without effort. I'm pretty damn good at it. Find it,
It
people get
comes
offended.
natural.
Hey, the where I was going with that long-winded thing though is whatever life we're living, you know what? There's reasons to be grateful too. There really are. If you bring your mind into the present and look at the past, think of what it took from the past. I mean, billions of years supposedly happened before we arrived. So there's a lot involved to bringing us to today. We're just seeing today, however long today might be, maybe, hopefully 100 years or so. I feel I feel like as I have been practicing mindfulness and developing my inner peace, my practice of gratitude, and my devotion, I feel as though I live outside of time. I do. I know everything is changing, but my life does not. And then every day, it's like a lifelong adventure every day. I make
So
notes.
you've transcended space and time, or just space, or just time?
I think just time. I've said this before. It's possible I'm existing on a separate timeline than many others. So, brothers and sisters, those of you who happen to be here, congratulations. God bless you for being now, if you're present and
Are you the
aware.
guy that was on that plane when the lady lost her cool? And she said, that
No.
motherfucker right there, that motherfucker is not real. Was that you, Jack Talcott?
It was not me. It may have been a doppelganger, but it was not me.
I heard an eyewitness report that that guy was having a conversation with the lady and she would respond to him, but on his side, he was always just looking into her eyes. He was just staring at her, and she had her side of the conversation out her mouth.
That's very possible. I've heard that as well.
Yeah, that's one of
I
the things that I saw in schizophrenia. I saw like one of the symptoms of schizophrenia is source monitoring. And I know like when my wife like had the schizophrenic delusions, like she had like paranoid delusions, and she would think like for example, like people in the TV were like people she knew that were like sending her personal messages, so it's like source monitoring. It's called a source monitoring error. And I was like, that's so fucking weird. That sounds like technological. like you get a notification from somewhere and you don't know where it's from. Like it's like source monitoring, error, with like how we're experiencing the technological world, definitely.
so is
Did
it
you know if
is
you
it
have the surgery where the center part that attaches the two hemispheres of your brain, if you have that removed, you can fucking lie to yourself. Like the people that have had
I
that
believe
removed,
that.
they can like
Yeah,
put a
people.
divider and like their right
Yeah,
hand will write something contradictory to what they're
Right.
saying or
yeah.
what they're
People
asking.
whose two
Right.
hemispheres are connected are pretty good at lying to themselves too.
Right.
Well,
Right.
hey, on the what you were describing with the source monitoring, is it like reading everything as signs, interpreting as greater meaning, greater value than it means? Is that kind of the lines of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything in reality is a sign for something else. I think, I think all of reality is composed of symbols and their
It is.
significations that point towards something greater than what you're seeing on the surface. So,
Brother,
definitely. I think this is a notion from C.S. Peirce, the philosopher, but yeah, I would definitely concede to that.
well, what,
Drew not know I was a Lumibraxis? Like he waited for my picture to change. Now he's leaving. See you, Drew.
so
Go ahead, Jack. I'm sorry I ruined the show.
well, the thought it slipped. Give me just
Slipped my mind. Have you ever seen Lex and Dean from The Kids in the Hall? You should take up
the
Dean.
world and the universe is revealed through signs and symbols. That's all that anything is, right? Life is the technology that reveals signs and symbols for us to interpret and bring meaning to find the definition. That's the good side of that analyzing mind.
Are you rubbing your
Is
junk when you talk like that?
what's that?
Are you rubbing your privates when you talk like that, Jack?
No.
Okay. Kind of that was a little bit of a pretentious over philosophizing of like, yeah, you see stuff and you hear stuff.
That was honestly, I thought it was, to my knowledge, is pretty profound. That
Are
we're
you high?
unveiling the that life is a technology that unveils the symbols. Yeah, you were on a roll there, for sure. You know what I mean? That's
Thank you, brother.
that's elder wisdom for real.
Well,
Oh my
thank
God,
you.
Jack,
This
you're
is
not
what
stupid.
this is what I realized for myself is there's something to divine timing. Well, number one, without a doubt, there is a God, right? So any atheist, sorry, you're confused and it's time for you to wake up. Um, there is a God. It's beyond doubt in my mind and heart. And so then the thought I had is love. God is the intelligence and the love that is beyond our breath, right? real love will take your breath away. Powerful wisdom, powerful truth. It'll bring you to your knees. Celebration and joy, both of them. So God is that mysterious power of truth and love that will be known in the future and that we came from in the past, right? What you were saying, the beginning and the end. And then so love is that power, that force that emanates for creation, for the signs and symbols to be revealed and interpreted. Love is beyond words. That's how our Creator communicates to us. By whatever grace mankind has received knowledge from the Word, from the Creator, words from God have come through mankind in the past, but I say that all time is now. God is coming through mankind each day. Sorry, the long-winded part there. Thank you, brother. Where I was going, love is that which is expressed without words, right? So all of our words, all of our definitions, those are for man. That's not for the God. That's not for the spirit of us. Words are for man, and it's only through words that we find confusion. Or maybe it's the absence of words we find confusion. Thank you. We've got a couple of guests. Tommy is back. And what's up, Cynthia? Unless...
Hello, panel. Hey, Tommy. Hi, Jack. And I'm sorry, I don't know your name, sir.
The Machine Lies.
On the screen there, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the Machine Lies, yeah.
Machine Lies. Awesome. Well, nice to meet you. I'm Cynthia. What's up, Cynthia? How are you gentlemen doing today?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, blessed day for us. How about yourself?
I'm so blessed. So blessed. Joe Cole, happy to see you as always.
Thank you. How are you? It was good, guys.
Did you guys catch the presentation, the wisdom that Machine Lies offered on time?
Actually, that's why I'm here. I was watching your channel a little while ago, and you guys are talking about time, and I was like, "Damn it, I need to be up there."
Oh, yeah, that's good.
But they came with the groceries and shit, so I couldn't hop up. So I'm just getting back.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah. Is that rattlesnake still over there now?
Yeah, and Miss Trace is over there by the trash can.
Show you guys the rattlesnake.
Dude, where are you at? Yeah, where are you at that you have all these rattlesnakes?
I'm near New Mexico. I was in Denver.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
My land is southern Colorado, and it's got rattlesnakes.
Not sure who room this in. Can you big screen this so y'all can see it?
The rattlesnake.
I thought you were talking about in Illinois or wherever you.
No. I'm trying to find it. There, is that it? Yeah, there it is.
Oh shit! What happened to it?
That lady there killed it.
Are you with Homestead?
Am I with Homestead? No, I'm with Liberty Freak. If you know who that is.
What's her name?
Liberty Freak, Eric Brandt's buddy.
I think I know that.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know her, but I think I've seen that name.
Yeah, well, that's Mel. If you remember, All Around Pigs has this pork. That's his wife. But I'm out here visiting my wife and Liberty Freak.
How far are you from like the northern border in New Mexico?
I'm about an hour from the. What border are we? The eastern border of New. Is it we eastern New Mexico?
We're about an hour and a half away from 2 hours about from the New Mexico border.
All right, from the eastern border.
Tell you what.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We south border apparently.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Tommy, maybe continue the interview.
Right. Thank you, baby. I apologize, Jack. I apologize.
Hey, no, brother.
I did want to show you that snake, though.
That snake. Hey, Life brings us adventures, challenges, quite unique experiences.
I just remember what I remember about Machine Lies. If we ready to jump into the time subject. Yeah, if it's okay. And if it's too loud out here, let me know. I can go indoors.
No, it's not too loud.
Thank you. Jack, I assume when I came in, Jack just finished speaking, and I assume Jack said what me and him both believe, there is no time. Machine Lies, I think that's your name. You gave you said that you believe there is, and you gave a good example of two different distinct things that exist. The thought and the thing itself, that's where you guys were at. Personally, I'm with Jack. Time cannot be a real thing, bro.
Yeah.
Have you ever been late for a job?
Late for a job?
Yeah, I mean, there is some
PPT, if
things
you
that
will.
I
That's
think
only
time does
because
exist.
that's what was that,
But
Moose? What's
yeah,
up,
Do you
bro?
feel
well,
as young as
what's
you
up,
used
brother?
to feel?
It's just
What's
how
up, man?
it's just how you say something is a deception. So I mean the deception of it exists. You know, if something's an illusion, it has to exist in reality. You know, so
Brilliant.
there's real lies.
Brilliant.
It's like how somebody says, "Oh, that doesn't make sense," so it's not true. It's like, well, there's shit that doesn't make sense that's happening. You know what I mean?
That was
You know what I'm
brilliant.
saying?
And he got to be true, right? Because if we manifested it in our thoughts and we refer to it the way it does, it must be real, at least in that aspect. I still hold though that it's only as real as we make it, which maybe other things are too, and it's only so real because we believe the fucking bullshit lie. But logically, if space and time are opposites of the same coin, time would have to be everlasting.
I'm saying like it's either real and we don't understand it, or we don't understand or we understand it and it's not real. You know what I mean? It's either one or the two.
Relativity.
It's either one of the two.
It's a relativity to each of us. Like I was saying in the chat before it came up, an hour standing in a DMV line is not the same as an hour you're getting a blowjob.
That's dope.
So
An
like
hour
relative.
when you're high. Oh my God, 10 minutes when you're high is an hour in regular time.
Sure. Or if you watch the clock while you're at work, you swear you can watch each second going backwards.
Oh,
of course.
But if
and
you're
they
not
also-
paying attention, it's like it just runs out.
So maybe our consciousness has some kind of like control over our time. I don't know.
That's interesting. They did a study how people say time flies, stand stills when you're afraid. So they was throwing people in a net or something, and they didn't really get results. Then another guy did it. What he did, he put something on their wrist where it was moving too fast for them to see. And then he pushed them off of a cliff onto something and told them to read the clock, and they all could read the clock. Time slowed down for everyone who fell. Interesting.
And that Matthew McConaughey movie where he's the astronaut, that shit is real. Like if you could go leave the planet, be traveling at close to the speed of light, you would come back and everybody would be dead.
Of
And
course.
you'd be relatively the same age.
Yeah.
It's a mind fuck, really, when you conceive what's happening.
They got some good. Go ahead.
Hey,
Somebody else.
I was climbing up this cliff, and when I got to the top, my dog was at the bottom, and he was trying to climb up, but it was probably like about an 80-degree angle. And I'm climbing up, and as soon as I got to the top, I went to look to see where my dog was, and I went straight down the cliff. It was the fastest 5 seconds of my life. And it was on the riverbed where all these big boulders were. And I landed on a flat rock. For some reason, the rock was flat. I sprained my ankle. I had these at the time, Shaquille O'Neal zebra top runners on when they had the zebra tops. I had those. I put my foot into the cold river just because my ankle. I walked up and down the river bank about 15 minutes, couldn't find another flat rock anywhere. And then when I came back, that flat rock was gone. I thanked the native elders. I was like, thanks for placing that rock down for me. But that time was the fastest 5 seconds ever. Everything I was grabbing onto ripped out. Rocks ripped out, the trees ripped out, everything, like little tiny trees coming out. Everything went out, and I went straight down the cliff. So that's just a way that time is so different, depending on what you're doing, especially when you're in that kind of adrenaline.
You know what? People can change the way they think real quick. Time too. Just 2 minutes ago, Cynthia was saying that you and this machine guy were fools and basically like blinded. Go look at Moose's chat. You said it, Cynthia. And now you're on his panel. So you go look at Moose's chat. Cynthia was talking shit on this machine guy and Jack. Said they're blind fools. And she only says it. Now you're up here on panel. So I'm kind of curious. Like it's on Moose's channel. You could go see what Cynthia wrote.
To talk, but Snaps has the.
No, you were talking about Moose and Machine Talk.
Hold on, let me tell you that he's actually right. He's right, Jack.
You're leaving time. You guys are leaving time.
Let's talk about this later. We got a Royal Rumble coming up tonight, Cynthia. We'll do it later.
I'm just saying, we talked about deception, Cynthia. You're full of deception, and Jack should know that you like what you just did. 2 seconds.
I've had enough already.
Issues, but I did come up here to talk about time. I didn't come up here to socialize.
Okay, can you yield for me to say a few words?
Yes.
All right.
Very good.
Since we opened the panel up, the topics in conversation have just turned to shit, to be honest. Okay. So, I'd like to come back to the present, to the moment, and I think we can actually have intelligent conversations without gossiping and whatever.
Oh no, we were just talking about time and deception, and I just want to point out deception.
Snafu, we were until you brought up.
We had just got there. We had just got there. Yeah.
Well, here.
So the chat is talking about how in like car wrecks or extreme fast-paced moments, the time slows down. And I wonder if like our brain has some kind of reflex to go into like a bullet time. Because I got thrown off a motorcycle and
I was just in that bad wreck, and time did slow down. And in my mind, I'm good, and in everything I'm good. But I went to the doctor today to see all the X-rays, and it's insane how my bones, even though I don't feel it, and
don't get jumped on saying I'm gonna jump on you. I swear I don't want to do
it's weird how they're moved. But
well, maybe take another vax and they'll help you out more.
I feel attacked by you, Snaps. I want you to know that anytime
you're a liar. You just went on Moose's channel.
All right, for both of you guys. Hold on, guys. Hold on.
And then you come up here and lie about
coming up later. Okay, you guys can come up on that.
We're talking about deception.
Don't do that here.
Snafu, you made your point, so let's just move on. Let's not continue on that record, so we can continue on with a healthy conversation.
I'm moving on. I'm trying to help you.
Yeah, let's try to get back to the time
so
thing.
My question about time was because both of you gentlemen up here, Jack and the Machine Rise.
Tell them what you said, that they're losers, and fucking tell them.
Thank you.
Not enough.
When y'all were talking about time, like both of you had conflicting ideas. One said it was relevant, not relevant, counted or not counted. How do you feel on how you spend your time? Does that matter? Like
if I present a paradox of something, that's not saying that it's real. It's not saying that it's not real, but it's trying to point out the problems in how we think about it.
Right on.
So my question is
it's paradoxes of time. So I mean, maybe you didn't understand the presentation, but that's kind of where I was. Yeah, that's where I was going with that.
So, but what I'm trying to say, if you don't think that
because I talked about how it's real, but also about how our perception of it could be flawed. So I was talking about both how it's real and how it's fake.
All right, I'm sorry, I misspoke too. I want to clear up my shit too.
Yeah. Like I told Joe Cool, I said it's either real and we don't understand it, or we understand it and it's not real.
I should have said
it's a paradox. Hence the paradox.
I should have said I believe it's real. I just don't believe it's linear. Of
Oh
course, it's
yeah.
real.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. And the linear models is one of the ones I presented as being kind of like there's some problems with it, you
Yes,
know.
yes, right
Yeah,
on,
yeah,
right on. Yeah.
yeah.
Something else about time, if I can remember. I'll get fucking fly. Tried to fly my ear. Okay. If we're talking about linear time, and if it's true that it is not linear, then there is no reason that when an event, especially a big event, is about to happen, you could get an echo before or after. You could, and I'm calling it echo, but you could tune into it before and after because it's already happened. There's no reason why you can't tune in. So perhaps when you have that feeling of deja vu, you've been somewhere before. Perhaps you have. Perhaps it's or you think, sorry, when you're thinking about a friend and they call or whatever, perhaps you tuned in on their thoughts. And before the phone call, you perceived the thing before it happened.
The
And any of that,
frequency.
go ahead. Is any
You
of that
turned into the
likely?
frequency.
You tuned into the frequency. That's logical as fuck. Yeah.
Could it be discernment?
Interesting. Intellect helps your perception of time. Is that where you're going with that?
No, can it be discernment?
All right.
Yeah,
Intellect had nothing to
discernment.
do
Yeah,
with
discernment.
discernment in your
Yeah, discernment is
definition
something.
yesterday.
Yeah, discernment is something kind of like an interesting concept. It could be like providence too, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, if you want to explain what you mean by discernment, you
I
know,
don't
that would
know
be
if
useful.
it could be providence, right? Discernment means I'm doing something. The discernment could have
Or
been given me too by the Holy Spirit, so it could be
or
providence.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, or I'm sorry, prudence. I meant to say prudence. Yeah,
Prudence.
yeah, prudence. Yeah.
But discernment is if you can sense that person's about to call you, so you're mentally ready for them to call you. Or how many times have we called someone and they said, "Hey, I was just thinking
Just
of
thinking
calling
about you.
you." Oh yeah.
You think
So,
of a movie you ain't seen in 20 years, and that night when you go to bed, it pops up on
yeah.
HBO. You're like, what the fuck?
So is that discernment like our minds and there before us, before our bodies are?
I
Which was
don't know if we're creating it or we're picking up on it. Or did we put something out there in our thought that caused that person to call, that movie to come on? Or was that person going to call and we were thinking about them because time is not linear and we picked up on the echo before it even happened? I'm not sure which it is.
and so like the question I was asking was like, so if no, regardless of how we measure time, is how we spend it valuable? Like if we decide I'm
It's
gonna
up
lay
to
in
you.
bed, like me personally,
That's up to you, someone
It's
said.
up to
me
you.
personally, I like to stay in bed till like 2 or 3 o'clock.
Then
You know what I mean? So, but is that am I neglecting time or not
it
using it
depends on what
wisely,
you
or because it doesn't we don't measure it, it's okay?
it depends on what you want to do. Depends on what you find to be important. And this is where part of this paradox comes in that we have a creator creating us, but we are creating the creation.
Yeah, it was saying that way.
And so
That's logical too, Jack, because if he is the creator, we are his kids, we would have some creative abilities as well. It's logical.
we are co-creating. Now, the only co-creation that happens is through our actions, through our deeds. Our actions and deeds include our thoughts and our words. So, as creators, our thoughts, words, and actions create the life we're going to live. So, if you want to keep your head in bed, and there's days too where it just seems glum. I just want to pull the blankets over my head and just stay in bed. You can do that. You can do that as many days as you want. But what are you accomplishing? To what end?
Yeah.
And
If you're
so,
laying in bed with a purpose, say you needed to relax from a hard day work, or you needed some thought, keep from
amen.
beating up your husband, then perhaps staying in bed might be a good thing. If you know you need to be out doing a thing, meeting someone, made a promise, staying in bed probably is a bad thing.
Oh, of course that. But I'm just trying to get to the point, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is how we spend the time or the quality of the time spent. Which are y'all thinking is
More important, because I think a lot
more
of people
valuable?
I've
We'll
read
say
a
that
lot
anyway.
of people, stoicism. I'm into a lot of that nonsense. Actually, I love it. And a lot of them will tell you time is the most valuable resource that you have. So I
That's
know
right.
a lot of smart people would think that it is very important how you spend your time.
Yeah, they
Hey,
actually say there's no difference between time and nature, you know. So yeah, they connect time with nature too. Yeah.
it is. Well, and
It's
so here,
logical.
let's not to bring not to bring the worldly issues in, but think of this stupid debate of minimum wage fighting for $15 an hour. That's irreplaceable time for a human being. That
Since we're talking about arguing that nonsense, is it a waste of time when I don't want to say no, I don't want to say names, especially names that if we all know. I don't want to start no shit. But let's say, is it dumb that I'm arguing with, let's say, who do I love? Let's say I love fucking Machine Lies. I don't even know the cat. And we're arguing about something dumb. Let's say it's about race or politics. Politics are really dumb. Let's say we're arguing about politics. Is that a waste of time?
That was my question. Like with Snaps and I, and the choice that I made,
Well,
he's continuously attacking me with that.
well, if it's about idealism, then yes, I'd have to say, because any philosophy that doesn't match idealism with history. See, this is why everything has a history. History is architectonic, because you could have a history of philosophy, you could have a history of theology, you could have a history of any idea, you could chart out its history too. So
Yes.
you could apply history to anything. You know, so that's the thing where you want to balance idealism with history. If you're talking about idealism in politics, it's a waste of time, because it's like everybody has their own version of a utopia, you know, but we want to talk about how we can achieve that now.
Interesting.
You
And
know what it
we
takes.
Mhm.
What it takes to make that right now is true human relations on the ground, our experiences. You know, it's not going to be any political structure that achieves those things. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But we have to organize our own community. So like Jack is saying, like, you know, we could all change the world right now if we want to. If all the human
Yeah.
beings in the world made a conscious decision to just say, well, you know, we don't want to, you know, we're not going to work today, for example. You know what I mean? You know, then you know, theoretically it's possible, and that doesn't mean that the next step is to make up a utopia. The next step is just to figure out, okay, where do we go from here? Let's just figure out what the fuck is going on and where do we go from here. You
hey,
know.
amen. And I'm sorry to interrupt, brother, but I want to bring it to here and now. Okay? Because the past is relevant to the present. Now, when Snafu came up, the timing I didn't appreciate, but he brought up a question in the form of an accusation to Cynthia.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I've been very kind and very forgiving. I've overlooked a lot of the things I've heard and said. So, Cynthia, what is your explanation for the past that was brought up recently, the recent history? Were you
Well,
Hey,
talking
I
shit
can
about
Jack,
me
while
on
she
Moose's channel?
thinks about that, let me apologize to Machine Lies myself, because I owe this man an apology, because I went over to his stream, and I told Paul to go over there too. It was kind of like a Jack thing. I told Paul, hey, you know, Machine Lies is live. He could probably use some help or something, you know, and I didn't help him out in any way whatsoever. It just ended up in conflict. It ended up in goofery. And so I just wanted to apologize, man to man.
No, there's no need for apologies. We had a lot of fun with Paul and Slave that day. So you know, I think it ended up with good results, and yeah, I'm happy that you guys were there. You know, you guys come on back anytime you guys want.
All right,
You know, I'm
brother. I
happy to
just
have
want
you
to
guys.
make sure we were cool
Oh
before we moved on.
yeah. I mean, I hardly know thee, but you know, I'd love to make friends with you, brother. You know, there's no worries, man. You know. Yeah.
All
All
right,
right.
I yield.
anybody else want to cut me off before I get
I was
started?
about to
Yeah, no
say,
Does
yeah.
anybody else want to
That's
cut me
why
off?
I jumped in here. I was like,
Keep
what the fuck?
talking to me, and these men, and men up here are being so rude. and childish. Like I'm.
Well, you are a liar, though. Like what Snafu was saying was 100% true, and you came up
So,
here and you
okay,
fucking lied
Have I
again.
even had a
let's
chance to
let's hear
address it yet? Have I
her
even had a chance to
explanation.
address it?
It's now, please.
Thank you. So yes, when I went over to there, Moose said this guy is boring, and I said yes.
I said it's boring.
Stop
I
cutting
said
her
it's
off.
boring.
Stop cutting her off, please.
Yeah, but what did you say after? Say exactly what you said. Read that shit.
Can I get there, Moose?
Moose, can you not be the conductor?
Can I get there, Moose? Like, let me get there, buddy. I promise I'm gonna go there.
You're
if you
there,
me.
right here.
And so yes, I did say that. Yes, Machine Lies, your presentation, like I did come in at the beginning, you said a couple of things that I was interested in, and you told us to take notes, and I was all ready to do that, but your presentation just didn't appeal to the way I learned. You just kept talking and talking. There wasn't breaks. There wasn't times for question. So yeah, I kind of tuned you out, not based off of you as a person, but based off of your presentation. Yeah,
So what did you say?
Absolutely, because that was boring to me. It's like when you go to a lecture, but
So
everybody learns different.
And it's like, you know, because like there's like so many different shows on YouTube. You know, you could just watch whatever show you want. So, but you must have been interested in the one you were already watching, so you just kept watching it. So, you know, be honest. You know, I mean, there's something about it that you liked, so you just kept watching the presentation. You know, watching and hating on the presentation.
I would agree.
I know.
No,
But
I'm not hating on the presentation.
No, I'm interested. No, hold on. I'm interested in like.
Don't let women finish.
No, it's like
here.
no.
That's
remember,
a problem.
no. Here, hold on.
It's how we talk. It's not the gender card. It's just how it's how we feels with us.
Yeah, it's just like when you just put your opinion and your feelings and there's nothing to say about the topic. I kind of believe that you actually are dumb as fuck and you actually don't have anything to say.
No, the point is that if you get up there and you teach one way, you think that every person learns that one way.
No, but what do you have to say about the topic?
Any teacher doesn't. I was questioning because when you said that God doesn't create with intentions, that kind of was like, where did you get that from? How did you learn that?
I know. So go ahead and challenge.
Again, you're not letting me finish.
No, but what do you think about it?
There you go.
Hey, Cynthia, look, obviously, here's where, okay, I just recognized my trigger. My trigger, I sat here watching her repeatedly complain rather than participate or cooperate.
That's interesting. Yes, interesting.
So I'm really...
It takes strong women.
Well,
wait, let me get in.
Hey, Joe, hold on.
It is.
It's just stupidity.
No,
It's just kind of stupidity. It's just like constant. It's just you just presented your opinion, but you have nothing to say about the ideas. So it's just kind of stupidity, piled upon stupidity, and then just your own opinion.
Hold on. Hey, Machine Lies, in here, I'm gonna allow me to mediate, please. Okay. What you're describing is actually accurate and true. Cynthia has done that on many occasions, and for whatever reason, her and many other people have been brought into this experience, and I trust we're all here, whether we recognize it or not, we're all here to learn. So,
well, I just think, like, you know, I'm talking about paradoxes of time, and you know, this lady's extremely boring and recalcitrant critique of me. You know, I just think you know, it's like, get a life, go watch another channel. You know, essentially, you know, that's all I have to say to you. I mean, that's your opinion. You know,
well,
good day to you, sir, and you know, have a good fucking day.
Wait.
And that's curious. I find that interesting because
it's kind of just annoying. You know,
it is. Well,
you know, that you don't have an opinion that's based on the information that was presented. It's kind of sad.
I just asked you a question, and then now you have
I don't know.
And if you're going to be a person that speaks about God, you should kind of have some of his
attributes. Oh, Cynthia.
No, I don't believe that. I believe God is unknowable. I don't believe I should have God's attributes. So.
Here's actually, Machine Lies, with all respect, I'm hoping both of you can disengage. Now,
Yeah, I think
this,
we could just talk about time without her. It'd be
that's
cool. But,
that's
yeah.
where I'm at as well. Cynthia, uh,
Have a good
today
day,
was
Cynthia.
scheduled for the Machine Lies, and if you were called out on your childish opinions. You're so quick to share your childish opinions, Cynthia, and you were called out on them. And so now please continue with your day. Oops,
Cynthia,
wrong button.
Cynthia, it's fair for you to think my man is boring. But if you really thought he was boring, like he said, there are a bunch of other channels you would have left. For you to take the time to stay and say you're boring, it's a little passive aggressive,
like
and then to
way,
stay there and
way
watch.
overboard.
Here,
Yeah.
have a good day, Cynthia, and we can go back to discussing time. Now,
So I got
actually,
something.
in fairness, she did have a good question. Holy crap, I just kicked her too. But she did ask a good question, which I was already covered, but the importance of how we spend our time. And we kind of got into that.
Yeah, I've brought it back there about 4 times now. It won't stay there though.
Well, remember when I said the story about the fastest 5 seconds of my life?
I
I
do.
had another experience of maybe the slowest 3 seconds of my life. So I fought a bunch of gangsters that were trying to pimp out a girl, and I got stabbed 12 times. And I ended up crossing over. But before that, when I got into the ambulance came, and this guy was holding all the stab wounds. He was holding some Kleenexes on all my stab wounds. And when I heard the gurney come out of the ambulance, I turned and looked at some stranger. I looked him in the eye and I said, "Thanks, man." And I always keep sending him kind blessings for him taking the time to help me in that moment. But as I walked over to the gurney, and they were telling me, wait, you stay there. And I'm like, I'm dying. One punctured my lung. And so I'm like racing over towards the gurney. And I stripped butt naked onto the gurney, hopped on, and I said, "Let's go." And it's like time froze. All of them, they just like froze in time for like 3 seconds, and then there's just started rushing again. Okay, let's go. But it was the weirdest thing because time actually froze for me at that point.
Interesting.
I had a question for our brother, the Machine Lies. Does any of your theories tie in about time tie into an explanation for the Mandela effect?
Oh, I got one when he's done.
Well, I guess it would be the third paradox where past and present and future intersect at random times. And I wanted, and if really quickly, if Cynthia's listening, I want to address her question about God creating with intentions, because I did have an answer to that before she started to berate me. I wanted to say that I talked about how God creates without a plan because God is omniscient. So go back to the first part of my presentation. I already answered your question. But anyways, yeah. But yeah, did you hear my answer, John Thomas?
I would just want to say Machine and Talcott is cool that you guys are talking about this, and you guys brought frequency up earlier because we were talking earlier on different panels about the project Manhattan Project and many other things linked to the subjects you guys were talking about. So very, very cool, man. Subjects.
I think
the Manhattan Project and the Montauk Project. Project Montauk.
Yeah, Montauk Island, I think it is.
Yeah, Montauk Island.
Hey, there's some mysterious things that have been recorded, reported, and hidden about what's been happening in humanity. But here's what I've come to realize. This right now, all of the years before now, and hopefully many tomorrows to come, but right now, this is our opportunity to change this world. And there was that comment, till humans can work together, the world is going to continue to be a place of confusion, deceit, and immorality.
That's a good one. How do we get to work together? I'd like to go back to the Mandela effect because I heard a really
Oh,
good
yeah.
theory on that one, and I'd like to, if I can remember, which I never can, do the other one. But the Mandela effect, this little kid, genius, fucking quantum physics, theoretical quantum physicist. Um, he postulated, he proposed that with CERN, he kept track of. I don't know if you guys are aware, but it's shut down. I think two very public times, and he said that I think it was the first time it is turned on is when we all experienced the Mandela effect. What he think it is that he thinks that there are unlimited universes or whatever you want to call them, dimensions or whatever, right next to ours, where Jack is a sailor, Jack is a plumber, that type of stuff, slightly different from ours. And they turned on that machine, and a little bit of theirs leaked over here, a little bit of that reality. So some of us remember things as if we were in that reality, and they were a little different, and some of us remember a different way. Thought it was interesting.
But Joe, there's been incremental changes since the first reported things. There's been things that change incrementally.
Well, it's been turned back on a few times since the first time. But he just wanted to point out the first time that all these people started recognizing that shit is when they had cut it on, something happened, and then they cut it off for a year or two, I think it was. Then they cut it back on a couple times. I think it's off now, and they're about to cut it back on again.
Is that the kid that went missing after he said that?
I'm not unaware of that. I haven't looked into them. I've been extremely busy. I haven't looked into that.
This the technologies and the power, science is, there's people alive like you, like us, who are looking into some shit that we may not even understand or may not even know exists.
Of course.
And this quantum, the particle physics, quantum physics, this stuff is really
it's really cool. If I'm sorry, interrupting Jack, but yeah, it's relevant. The quantum physics is very important. All of the things that you can deduce now are from the knowledge of the rules that you have now. If I throw a ball, it will come back down. These are the rules that you've drawn all your conclusions from. Well, it turns out that there's another reality just as real as this one, part of this one on a subatomic level, very small level, where the rules are different. When you break a glass, it doesn't shatter into smaller pieces. It shatters into a bunch of glasses the same size as the original. Rules like that. Things fall up as opposed to down. So we have to.
Yeah. And that's one of the weird things in quantum physics that they found, that actually 99.9% of the universe is space. It's not actually matter. Matter is actually way less dense than space. And actually, we're swimming around in the density of empty space is actually more dense than matter itself. It would have to be to hold the matter inside of it.
Let me say what he's saying. Let me rephrase your shit, Machine Lies. Listen to what he's saying. 99.999% of what we exists out here with us is unseen. We focus on the scene, on what you can see. I saw someone put it like this: you take a grain of sand and you throw it into the Sistine Chapel. The grain of sand is the size of the matter that you can see. The rest of the open building is the unseen.
That's right.
So if we learn those rules of the unseen, I don't want to say this, but we're gods. You're transmuting, manipulating. You ain't even got to stay here. You can probably vibrate the different, dimensions at will.
This is what I've been trying to understand myself, is these concepts and the power of the nothing, because it is within the nothing that form and change are found.
Very good.
And the form and the change bring us the perception of time. But all what science is showing is that we are perceptions of energy. We are intelligence perceiving and generating and creating. we're energetic transformers for the time that we are here.
Yeah, we baby creators or something. I would agree with that. And somebody, one of y'all said, if we could all come together and create on something, maybe it was Cynthia or somebody said that, then we'd really kill.
Well, amen. So I'm a big fan of the work of I've mentioned him before, Rupert Sheldrake, and his theories on the morphogenetic field, which is a field of memory and intelligence, which communicates with our DNA and makes us be what we are.
Morphogenetics. I'll never remember that, but I would love to look into it.
I was blessed to discover the conversations before Terence McKenna died, the old conversations between Rupert Sheldrake on the morphogenetic field, and then Terence McKenna regarding his theories on novelty and time.
Yes, I'm familiar with those theories. And one of the things he used was a mathematician, Prigozhin, who actually said that when change happens far from equilibrium within a stable system, then that's what causes things to emerge into a new form. You know, so he was trying to theorize how things could change within a closed system. And
so are you saying that just when things go against the nature of the way they're supposed to be, that's when new things are formed? Am I hearing that?
That's what Prigozhin theorized. Okay. I'm not saying that's what I
was
believe.
just wondering if I encapsulated it correctly.
Yeah,
I was wondering if I heard you
correctly. But his theories on nonlinear dynamics. It's called nonlinear dynamics. And those types of systems. That's actually where the computers come from. You know, that type of math, nonlinear math, and nonlinear dynamics. That's what they use to form computers. So I do know that much about it, you know, that they use this math that's based on probability. It's kind of like chaos math. You know, it's like game theory.
But math is order.
Yeah, that's why it's confusing. They use math to tease out non-order.
Yes.
But would that explain why things are so chaotic here? Because it seems like it's going against its natural state. So everything is so totally chaotic and just random because it's going against that natural, flow or that, equilibrium, that place of harmony where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and it relates to the theories of Adam Smith because he talked about like the unseen hand. And like guiding the thing, and then you have the occult revival of the 18th century where they talked about these two concepts, chaos and emergence. And they're talking about the interplay of these two concepts, and that's a lot of things that I talk about on my show when I'm talking about the development of AI systems and computers and stuff, because it actually relates to that,
Right.
That's why the Freemasons have had so much, pull here, because order out of chaos. They've created the chaos trying to bring that order.
That's their moniker.
Brother, hold on. Now these conversations are exactly why I'm inspired to pursue what I am. Man's laws, the rules and policies, the codes that have been put out amongst our land for our how we do business and state.
Right.
Man's laws have defied God's laws, laws of universal and cooperation. Yes. And so what has strayed us from the path? Secrets and lies. Secrets and lies, the excuses and the blame that humans imagine, they create the excuses and lies, and the next thing you know, we've got beasts of rule which have risen from the west and from the land and from the sea. We are the beasts who must be overcome. Mankind is.
That's dope. Yeah.
We're both the destruction of this beautiful planet, and we are also here.
All right. this is
to
going to
save
stray a
it.
little bit into religion, but if what Jack is saying, this makes sense. Is it feasible that Jesus returns in us and we do a thing and make things better? Is that a thing?
100%.
That is actually my belief, my interpretation of the Bible and what is said. And I don't remember the words of the scripture, but as I understand it, if you bring in the concept of time as an illusion, it is all perceived and experienced in the now, then all moments are now. What was is. So as Jesus was, I am, we are, right? And so with his sacrifices, the choices, with the story, we got the opportunity to learn of him. His energetic being as a man has been around ever since. Here's the point. The Spirit of Christ and God has always been. It is available now for us to seek, to accept, to know, and to serve.
And they talk about it, and they actually talk about it in the gospel. They talk about how, Christ is the first fruits of the resurrection. So something that was going to happen at the end of time is actually brought closer to, the modern, sensibilities, and that culminates in the resurrection of the dead, happening in this time. So, so God says that, in the New Testament, that actually we're asked to become as the second Adam, or at least Paul talks about becoming the second Adam, putting on a new skin, just like Christ did. And this is partly what the baptism ceremony is a reminder of. It's a reminder of the rebirth, and the rebirth is really like reformulation, becoming renewed, and it's about like just getting rid of time, really, whatever came before, it's like a fresh new start, and we can choose to have a fresh new start whenever we want,
Now Jack would tell you now is the time.
really.
Hey, welcome, J Hub. I had your question pinned and I never got back to it. This was one I wanted to get to. Welcome, brother.
What's going on? Everybody?
We did get into that a little bit.
It was touched on a little bit.
You go ahead, kick it off, Hub, and because we did go there.
I hadn't kind of really researched or studied this stuff in a while, but I remember at one point, I think it was an experiment they did at the Large Hadron Collider, where they said that basically matter exists, when we're looking at it. Basically, us perceiving it has an effect on it actually existing.
If you
I could give you
I
that.
just say that there's a lot of old footage, early 80s or late 80s and 90s, when we were talking about Manhattan Project, and they go over that, the materialization of matter through the time of the frequencies, how they learned how time bends and da. These things have been out there, such as like what you just asked about matter. In fact, they're making claims in the late 80s and 90s that they could holographically produce matter through the frequencies of time. Some of these things are so they're overlooked, but they've been out there, like you guys said, from dawn of time, so to speak. So I encourage you to look up like Manhattan Projects and other things like that, J-Hub, because that does go in that question, like you said, about the matter situation.
Go ahead.
Thank you. The experiment you're talking about is when they put photon detectors on some light particles, and they watched it as the human look away. The light particles would like go like waves of water. When a human look up, they would line back up. I don't know. I always
particles. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No,
they went and split one of these photons into two pieces at the Max Planck Light Institute and moved a part of it to a different room and switched one When they messed with one, the other would change, even though it was separated in a different room. So they started to think like light is like connected somehow, because they observed the cosmic the background radiation, and it seems like in a certain aspect, light just enters. So that's one of the biggest mysteries, is time and motion itself, and how it relates to light. Because light particles were there since the beginning of the Big Bang. So they got these neutrinos there, and if you detect these neutrinos, you could actually take them back to the Big Bang. You can actually move things around. Instantaneous information is moving around with these neutrino particles, but they can't understand, how to use them, essentially.
Hey, Jack, I just
hold
left.
on. Let me go with him.
Well, no, I'm just gonna real quick. I just left a link in your private chat, so if you wanted to share it to everyone, they could watch it down the road. It's exactly what you guys are talking about, and I do recommend you guys, if he shares the link, it's exactly what you guys are talking about, and it's the late '80s, early '90s, and everything. You're talking about materialization of matter, 5G, Manhattan Project, the whole, and this is late '80s or early '90s. So I did leave that link for you, Jack, in your private chat.
What you were talking about, the division of the photons, I wasn't going to get too technical, but that's in that same experiment that I was talking about. Quantum entanglement is what you're talking about. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance.
Spooky action at a distance, and that relates to time, because just think like spooky action at a distance, and it's instantaneous.
Yes,
bits of information being
yes. So that plays into what we're talking about. How something could happen instantaneously from one. You could have a thought, think about me, I could perceive it instantaneously and call you or whatever. All of that quantum entanglement would help make all of these things feasible. And the light, as far as the light, I just said it waved around. He went into it in detail. I was going to spare you cats, but that's exactly what happened. The light, they put it through two slits, two tiny openings, where it would have had to deviate. But after going through these openings and landing on a sheet of paper or whatever on the other side, it all came into a predictable pattern, which is supposed to be impossible, meaning its pattern was predetermined before it set its path. If you can grasp that, that's interesting as fuck. It was destined to be there in its pattern, and nothing can stop it. They tried, they moved it. It's not supposed to even be physically possible, and it still went to the pattern apparently that it wanted to go to, which was, by the way, waves and vibrational pattern.
There's a lot of amazing discoveries that are being shared, a lot of ancient wisdom that is coming to light. Thankfully, due to the blessings of this time, right? The progression of time and the causalities that brought forth the technology for us to use. This lifetime that we are sharing and experiencing right now is an amazing one. And I believe we're learning these things for a reason. I think there's many people, many others in this world that I know for a fact they're just going along with their lives thinking they know, getting ready to vote in the upcoming.
If you're learning for a reason, and I know I'm interrupting you, Jack, but if you're learning them for a reason, perhaps that reason is, remember what he said, we're learning all these new things and new abilities even, and capabilities for a reason. Perhaps it is because those bad guys are over there at CERN coming up with ways to fuck with shit and mess shit up, and it's going to take a certain minded person to battle them. Perhaps we are getting new skills for the new battle to come.
And we're the manifestors and creators. That's why it's important when we what we put into this consciousness, because if we're talking about lockdowns, we're talking about these things, we're just giving it power and enabling it to happen. If we're talking about things that we want, bringing people together, this consciousness, we're manifesting this consciousness, this Christ consciousness that will bring us all together. We have the power. Don't let them take it away from us by these false narratives that we give power to just because we're afraid that it may happen.
But at the same time, we must discuss it too, right? Or are you saying totally ignore things? Like if these guys are coming up with some master plan and we discuss their plan in order to thwart it, are we bad because we made it happen, or are we good because we tried to thwart it? Which is it? How can it be both?
If the only thing that's happening is just talking about it, and which I see happening, you know, not pointing fingers, I'm probably guilty myself as well.
I'm talking about assuming we did some action behind just talking about it.
Talking about here, my own life. My life started transforming when I stopped focusing on the problems and used those problems as simply, it's a sign, it's a symbol that something can change. Because change is constant. So if we've got a problem, let's find the solution, which is in the problem.
But if you're not allowed to talk about it, as I know, what is his name? Scott? Is it Jesse? If Jesse is right, when we start down that path of talking about it, even to find a solution, we don't even get to the point where we can exercise the solution. Just talking about it, we created and we manifested it, and we gave them strength to do this horrible thing. Is what he's saying. And could that be real? Flo, I would love to hear from you.
It's depending on what type of intention that you have as you're talking. If we're just making aware and coming up with solutions, we're taking the power away from what it is, right? But if we could talking about it, it's fine. But if there's fear, if there's any fear that goes with it, then it's manifesting that fear vibration, and then it actually makes it more likely to happen.
Thank you for clarifying that, Jesse.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Go ahead.
I was going to throw in my 2 cents since Joe snapped me back in the chat.
There were a couple of times where I know you had a thought. I'm like, Flo's going to interject here. I know he's thinking about this.
I've mostly been watching the door, and
thank you.
Yeah, I actually agree with basically everything you just said. I think that if you're there's value to shifting or to making people aware and to shifting. I don't remember the phrase I'm looking for, but basically the center point of general consensus or general understanding of things, right?
Yeah.
There's point in pulling people's perspective one way that you prefer, right? But on the other hand, if the narrative is, oh my gosh, this is coming and there's nothing we can do about it, that's absolutely just hurting shit, right?
That's dope. That's dope.
100%.
Is it really? Because I got a lot of people say there's nothing we can do. Stock food, run to the mountains.
Bullshit.
Yeah,
bullshit.
they're lying.
That's bullshit. That's like revelations. If enough people believe that it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But if we all come together and make sure that it doesn't happen, then it won't. So was it really revelations, or did we create the revelation?
I love it. I've thought about that myself.
Here,
I got 5%, so I'm going to be out here pretty quick. So love y'all. Thanks for the amazing conversation. And, the presenter, you're more than welcome to come on the missing link, and you got 2 hours. I really enjoyed your presentation today. So thanks so much.
Thank you. I'd love to come and present. And thank you for the offer. I really appreciate you, brother. And I love hearing you talk as well. So game recognized game. Thank you.
I'll make sure you've got the
Jesse.
I'll share your contact info, Jesse. Okay.
X out, Jesse. Don't burn out your phone fucking with us. Put your shit on a charger in case you get an important call or something.
I'm good. I'm I'm really enjoying this. The way that this panel has been going, real deep, good conversations. It's something that's dear to my heart.
It's
thank you, Jesse, man.
It's
bless you.
Right?
Hey.
Yeah, go ahead.
Happy painting, Jesse.
Thanks, man.
I want to jump on this comment because I think Jesse and I share the similar views on this. There's one truth, and that's through Jesus Christ. As I explained earlier, he is always present. So when we stop denying God, stop denying the Christ, we stop blaming, we stop lying.
I'm gonna ask you and Jesse a question before he fades out. Yeah, it's one of those. If a guy, it's, let's say, in some South American jungle or something, he never even heard of Christ. Does that mean he is destined for hell, or he cannot be saved?
No,
Jesse
that's
and
the
Jack.
biggest horse shit I ever heard. It's what's in your heart that matters. That's the Christ consciousness. You don't have to acknowledge it to have the Christ consciousness inside
What
of you.
about you, Jack? What do you think?
Christ is just the pure consciousness. Yeah, it doesn't. You don't need to know the name or a story.
I love it.
From what I've heard in the Orthodox Church opinion, they actually have a concept or something called economia, where they make up for the fact that people who don't know about these things actually make it into heaven anyway.
Very good. I need to do that.
Yeah.
I got a guy who I argue with, and he's of the opinion if you haven't, I think you have to be baptized and all of that stuff, or you're doomed. I'm like
that's
Gandhi, all the Muslims, all
yeah,
them
that's
niggas
like
going to hell. Yeah,
yeah,
Joe,
that's like the extremists, that's like the extremists, like Protestants, like some of them think that, but yeah, not but the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church, I don't even think that they actually hold to that. But
If that word, whatever you said, I could look it up, and I never remember anything from a panel when I want to remember.
Well, doesn't Islam hold the same thing? All
I'm unaware. I'm unaware. Really?
Islam and atheists can be going into heaven as long as they're righteous. It doesn't matter in Islam. Yeah.
Okay, that makes.
What does it mean to be righteous in Islam, though?
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like you don't kill the people, you don't steal things, you're honest when you go to work, and you buy things and sell things, and basically there's all these rules and things to that.
Is it Sharia?
Well, Sharia is how you pay for the sins in this lifetime. But if you don't get held accountable by Sharia, then you'll just get held accountable in the next life. It's all the same.
Yeah. Those rules you're talking about, you reminded me of something. I'm going to disappear for a second and look it up. Moses, I've heard, was, he would go to whatever their church was at the time, and there were these 42 things. I'm going to look it up. I took a picture.
42 laws of my
Is it? The problem is. Ah! Go ahead, pimp. Yeah.
No, that's my daughter's middle name.
I think there are two names, and I think that is one of them. Yeah. Where every morning they say, in fact, they do it 3 or 5 times a day, where they say, I have not hurt anyone. I have not taken anyone's property. I have not defamed the Lord. And they got all these things, all the 10 commandments, which are a part of them, meaning that Moses would have known those 10 commandments before he walked up on that mountain. It's interesting. And by the way, just for the record, those 10 commandments are holy from God, blah, blah, blah. But I must acknowledge, if this is true, dude was a kid and he knew of those 10 commandments beforehand.
Yeah, I think the religion didn't start with Moses. It started with Abraham. So it started way before the Mosaic law.
Dope.
And that's what Paul even says. He says that the Gentiles can't be held accountable to the Mosaic law because Abraham wasn't held accountable to it, because Abraham was before Moses. So he said the Mosaic law is not the ultimate standard. It's what he calls the circumcision of the heart.
Very good.
It's not the law. It's not the physical law, but the spiritual law, that you're held accountable by,
Not what goes in your mouth, what come out of your mouth.
That's right.
Yeah.
But Paul claimed that Moses received the law from angels. So he contradicts Moses completely.
Oh, you're up here. I was thinking if that dude was up here,
he was masturbating
he would have had
until
something to say. He's up here.
Yeah, he was masturbating until Machine Lies said that Mosaic law isn't the highest law.
That woke him right
killed
up.
It.
Dropped his fucking erection immediately.
Well, there's a sense in which he says that Israel is still being held accountable to the Mosaic law. So he doesn't say that it's totally canceled out.
I got
he says that. Yeah.
Dude says that we had a big discussion about that. I asked him what rules does he adhere to, and his response was pretty much what you're saying, that certain laws only apply to certain people. However, he never did tell me which rules he uses. He never did answer that question. Just saying.
Maybe he's keeping 2 sets of books. Some of them keep 2 sets of books.
That's right. You can't talk.
Yeah, they got the 2 law. They got the laws for the Jews and the Gentiles besides each other. They follow which one they want.
Right. Today, I'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting.
No, it's a lot of stuff with this stuff, man. That's one thing. It's like when it comes to that's why the last time I was on here, I was talking about definitions of words because that's important because that's why if you say heaven, it depends on who you're talking to. That can mean
Right
different
on.
things.
Right on.
If you say God, it can mean different things.
Always means
You know what
damn
I'm
that,
saying?
right?
If you
Yes.
so if without a clear definition, what I'm saying, I'm not saying I got the answer, but
But if
without
we
That's good
everybody
define it, we
stuff.
agreeing
can't
to it.
gaslight people and
You,
That would help too, right? If
you know
motherfuckers
what,
Right.
had
Adele?
Oh
some
yeah.
good
I'm glad you mentioned
intentions.
I'm glad you guys mentioned the Gentile thing, because think about it this way, we talk about the optics and with China and Israel and all these other countries. The fall of Babylon. Remember, Statue of Liberty is Ishtar, the goddess of fertility and blah blah. They have made us to the point of where we are the Gentiles. So if it comes down to some political transition or some crazy shit like that, there will be that. I guess you could say that tribalism of against them, so to speak, because that is why we're seeing the agendas being pushed in play with all
As
the
long
everything you're witnessing, because all these other religions, all these other countries, we have
well,
allowed ourselves to not be on
okay,
par to
so
their.
Interesting.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we talk about these problems a lot. We know there's problems, and as long as we stay divided, there will be conflicts and depression. So, the signs are pretty clear. The censorship, the way data is being, collect. What do they call it? Mass data collection. For the purposes of security and safety.
well, you don't want to keep the data secret, do you?
That's
I
great.
I want the corporate and government actions to be publicly known so that we actually know the chemicals, what are the choices these businesses, these governments are making.
By law, all of that shit is supposed to be public. You're supposed to be able to just go up there, or actually in today's day and age, from your phone, push a few buttons and it comes to your crib. But that's never the case.
Yes.
I mean, everything,
Supposedly.
their phone calls, personal shit, if they use their personal phone on time, all of the
Yep.
pictures they took, that's yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it requires cooperation.
Oh, yeah. If J Hub gave you a bit of the answer, just J Hub gave you a bit of the answer, it's gonna lie in communication. He said definitions, but if you don't have the proper definitions, you're not communicating properly. So your first step is gonna be how you communicate with a motherfucker. Make sure that you are have a meeting of the minds when you're talking about a thing.
And
Amen.
I feel like we already have all the information. What information is really out there? If you want to find something, 99% of what you want to find, you can find it.
Yeah.
Okay, then why are wars continuing?
Because people are apathetic and or out of time and resources and energy. There's huge infrastructure.
And money, man.
Right.
Money.
Right. I mean, it's not because of secrets though. All this stuff is public. Like it's
apathy. It's apathy. And why are people apathetic? Because they've
got their own lives.
They've been conditioned. Sorry, go ahead.
Think of it this way, Jack, dude, think of it this way, like big pharma nowadays, okay? People are being prescribed these medicines that have nothing to do with the condition, except big pharma came in there and said, hey, sell our product and we'll cut you bonuses, so they're actually prescribing medicines
of lies
for money.
All because money, the entire economic structure is built on lies. And so J-Hub, yes, you're right. We live in an age where we live in an age where information is available for people who look.
Which lies?
But most people are caught up in this narrow-minded mindset that they can't do anything. They got they got to focus on their family. They got to focus on their own survival. Can't worry about the problems of others.
That's actually literally true. You cannot worry about the problems of others if you can't take care of your own problems. That's literally true.
But that's never the case. No one is so swamped that they don't have
normally
time
the case,
for others.
but
amen, Joe. That's an excuse, Flo.
Joe, yeah, I think Jay has with me, but Joe or Jack, I would like either one of you to tell me specifically how I can stop wars. Not even tomorrow, but soon. Like in my lifetime.
Help those who are trying to stop wars.
That is unspecific.
That's probably illogical. Okay, well, here, hold on a moment. Hold on. If you were serious, you'd accept the answer, or maybe ask questions.
No, I wouldn't. That's why that's how you know I'm serious. If I wasn't serious, I'd accept the answer.
You don't care to know.
I'm helping people who want to stop wars by monitoring your chat constantly.
You are.
So I think if I may interject, I'm sorry, John Thomas. Why don't you go ahead first? You haven't had a lot to say. You go ahead, brother.
I'm sorry, you're the guy.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just going to say we could have pointed out that Kiev turned to Kyiv when they said Russia went into Ukraine. We could have pointed out that these changes are happening, that man's not in control, where they're a bunch of secret liars that don't want order out of chaos, or they talk about
that actually. Yeah, that actually goes along with what I was going to say, is that the first way to stop wars is probably to figure out how the warfare is being conducted. Just take a look at the wars. Yeah. Just take a look at how it's being conducted and what it's being waged for, and realize that in itself is insufficient to realize the cause of it, and then figure out where do we go from there. I
think that's what Jack was saying. God, it slipped my mind. It'll come back.
Event 201 did, and then John Hopkins.
Here's the thing.
We can
spend our entire lifetime learning about the past and complaining and saying we can't do anything about the future, or we can recognize this is our opportunity. And if we want to end wars, we'll find a way.
Jack,
I chose that, and I keep trying every single day. I keep trying different ways and different people, different paths.
Jack,
I feel like we can we had an opportunity, because we're in America, to make that statement that we can end wars. If you look through our history, the only time people have even had the ability to say what you're saying is because the war was already won.
Right. So let's stop allowing our rights to erode away, which is clear in front of our fucking faces.
Oh yeah,
everyone's complaining about the censorship and all the shadow banning and all the cards that are stacked against us. Who gives a shit? Let's fucking find a way to create peace, because there's citizens in other parts of the world who don't get to have these conversations.
All right, here's one way. Hold on, Snap, let me get in. I've been trying for a minute.
Well, I've been quiet. Hold on. Let me finish this. What he just said, you got to realize we are, just like Jack said, stop wars. We are in a war. All the shit you just named, foreign and domestic, ladies and gentlemen. Like, let's not forget, we are already there here in America, as well as everywhere else. Foreign and domestic. Don't ever forget that. And that's what you guys are like. We are becoming normalizing to the policy and guidelines, police state world. So Jack is right. But we also got to remember we are in an actual war, whether it's like the shooting guns or the technological police state world of surveillance.
Hey, can I get in? I want to say, Cynthia, I don't know if you're here, but it's got nothing to do with sex you are. It's difficult to get in these fucking conversations sometimes, not because you're a woman.
Cynthia's the lion-triggered hoe, dude.
Chill with it, MGTOW.
You guys were talking about the reason we can't do anything is because of apathy and because people blame other folks. And my man Machine Lies was talking about we have to recognize the warfare that they use on us. What they do is they program us to and enforce that you handle none of your problems, we will handle them all. We got to get out of that mindset. If something's wrong, my plumbing, my so-and-so, whatever it is, up to the,
See, how can we continue solving wars if Joe
got muted
Cool
there, Joe.
can't have internet connection? He was just about to tell us the secret to ending war, and then the internet happened.
Well, he was right on point. When we stop being dependent, when we stop allowing this to continue, it will end.
Okay.
Yes, and we got to recognize that they're programming us so that they can keep a job. The president will solve all your problems. The policeman, whoever, will solve all your fucking problems. In fact, if I want to solve my own problem, they might take me to jail. If I don't call them the police, show and say, "Why didn't you call a cop?" That's the norm. That's what you're supposed to do. You know that. You go to jail if you handle your problems for yourself. We got to find out and make it where we're in fucking control of our own fucking problems, and then we can be in control of our own solutions.
So part of the problem with figuring out how to solve the problem together on a public platform is that most of the solutions to the problems are probably illegal.
That's dope.
Or easily available, just people don't believe.
Because there are two weapons. One is that propaganda, right? And that's what we're doing on here, whether we know it or not, is that we're undoing the propaganda. The other thing is that they use is they can print our money, right? We fund it whether or not we pay taxes, because through inflation, they can print money and just suck the value out either way. We can't do shit about that.
Well, the question is,
I'm not sure that's true.
Go ahead. The question is, who is they? First, because
amen.
Yeah.
The question was what?
Think about what they did to Africa and all these other foreign countries, like the villagers that grow food.
What we can do is the first one, what we're doing now, exposing propaganda. The second one, not like you can reduce the financial support you deliver to them, but I'm never going to tell you not to pay taxes. Certainly not on a place like this.
But see, there you said them again. You said we shouldn't pay taxes to them. Who is them? You know what I mean? Like that's what I mean.
Well, the IRS and the central. I mean, ultimately, if you follow the money, then it's the central bankers that own everything.
But the central bank is owned by private institutions outside the government. So
that is correct, and we don't know who that's private information. So really, we don't know who them is even.
Why is that private? Wow. Exactly. Why is that private information?
Secrets, baby. Secrets.
Money makes the world go round.
Why are millions of Americans enslaved for a debt that's been signed for by citizens in the government, and that debt is going to other private citizens? We are slaves to citizens. Citizens are slaves to citizens. We all
know that, but that's public information.
Stop it. That's the point.
The reason that we don't stop it, because the institution is obvious.
Can change. The institution can change. The rules don't change.
If an institution is created specifically to enslave people, like the Federal Reserve Bank, and to steal wealth, then it's not going to change.
Well, it's not going to change on its own.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah, I say institutions don't change. I think, every rule in history has ended. I mean, the reality is that the end of that rule is going to be a violent one. But but still we have to face that. Reality. Nobody's just gonna go into the,
Look, I wasn't saying row their boat and can't reform that hell of a institution. It's not a housewife. It's a house.
Go ahead.
All of these absolute, no way they, no way it. Come on,
Jack.
now.
Do you understand what it does? Do you understand how central?
Let me get to my point. The point is,
don't understand it.
This is hey, you can accuse me of not understanding before you listen.
You don't want to address you don't want to.
Well, let's bring into the play the topic that we have touched on, the part of God, the fact that this is a spiritual warfare that we get to play along in, and we can sit along and play like we're helpless bystanders, or we can believe that, well, I believe in God. I believe that God is with us.
People die from lack of knowledge.
On our side, and the rules can be rewritten. force can end.
Jack, do you believe that force or violence in any way is something used to correct a bad thing? Because, like, let me just point this
As
out.
your lawyer, don't
In
answer
Africa,
that
no,
fucking
let me
question.
point this out. In Africa, okay, we were talking about farmlands and farmers, right? And China, right? Now we know what's being sprayed in skies. Villagers for years and years and years grew their own crops, had spread out villages all throughout the countries, and then because of their crops dying, because of the webbings and things like that, and the soil being contaminated, they all were forced, even though they had the skills, even though they had the knowledge and have done this since dawn of time, they were forced to go out of their villages and go into the bigger marketplaces
Right.
and
We can
buy
change it.
them, so to
We
speak,
can change it.
foods, GMO seeds, and all that. So,
We
at
can
what
change it.
point, if they are at war with you, foreign and domestic, for a change to occur, I think, like you said, it probably wouldn't even be illegal or legal with some of
It
the
for
things that
sure
would have
won't
to
be.
take
Why
place,
would you ask
Jack.
such a stupid question,
All right, I
Snafu?
think your question, Snafu, is can you defeat it through Jack's method of Jesus and God, or would it have to turn violent? I think that's what Snafu was
Well,
saying.
even
Answer the
Jesus,
question
even the
first.
Christian, right? Even the wars with the religions, they were for God. Even
Hey, you're gonna let
Michael
your
was slayed by
wife
the
be
demon, so to
controlled.
speak,
Hey,
right? Michael was slayed by the demon, or not Michael,
golly
but
gee, would you?
Yeah,
It's like
Snafu,
his
when you see
mouth
Jack mouth
starts.
moving, I'm sorry, Jack. When you see Jack mouth moving, Snafu, you got to. I know you're trying to finish that shit, but just because he's the host, you got to stop.
Thank you. The fuck it.
I didn't mean. No, I'm just a serious question, Jack.
I was interrupting you for a reason. There was a
He
purpose.
probably forgot for a reason too. The fucking the energy just changed in here for the
Well,
better. So
And
everything
it's
probably
probably for
happened
the
as
best
it was
because it
supposed
was
to happen.
it was a setup of a question. Not intent. I'm not saying Snafu's doing it intentionally, but why in the fuck would you ask somebody if it's okay to use violence and then in the next breath say foreign or domestic? Why would you do that?
Well, because
It makes
I
no
think
sense.
Joe was kind of on it, like even the Christian during the Crusade times, right? They had to fight for what they believed in, which to them was godly values or their
Here,
faith or their whatever. So the fact, even Jesus tipped over the table, so to speak.
So you're gonna
Gandhi,
push forward
My
with the
curious
question.
question is, how do you obtain this if you're already
here,
being attacked?
I'll
Which we
give
are,
you a
right?
good. I'll give you a very good example of how it works Jack's way. The British Empire took over. I think it was fucking India, and Gandhi had. I think it was India, and Gandhi had to get them cats up out of there. Those Indians up out of there. He told them those British up out of there. He told them it's simple. You got to get up out of here because 100,000 British can't control 100 million Hindus or ever many it was, and they got up out of there. You know how Gandhi did it, right? It was a beautiful thing. Are you aware? Because I don't want to fucking tell a story how he did it. You know it
How
wasn't through
Gandhi did it?
violence. Yeah, you know
Yeah,
it wasn't through violence, though, right?
Yeah.
None. In
right.
fact, there are two good
Well,
examples when they
it
began
wasn't. It
violence.
wasn't.
Wait. Let me finish. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
of course.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Where there were two incidents where they got so violent where they started fighting each other in the streets, and Gandhi laid out on a rooftop and didn't eat until the violence stopped. And he damn near died twice, but he stopped the violence by being peaceful. It's crazy.
Yeah,
this.
but
Oh,
that's
go
the
ahead.
thing. He was aware that he was gonna let people die by doing that. So
Say that
he just
again. I blinked out.
he was aware that he was gonna let people die by doing that. So he didn't do a peaceful solution. He just let violence happen. And
That's a fine line. That is a fine line. And
No,
here,
no. I don't think
here,
No, it's
he
kind of
didn't
true.
let violence happen. I
well,
mean,
I'm
that's
from
like
well, I'm from
if he let it
well, I'm from
happen, you let it happen.
well,
He
I'm
didn't
from
go do it.
Pakistan, and we chose a different path than Gandhi, I guess. but
Yeah.
well,
but we got
here,
our own country there,
I'm in
and we
Chicago.
got
We choose a different path every fucking day, right? But
yeah.
when I tell myself I must do a violent thing, him and Martin Luther King are the examples that I point to that says I don't have to
amen,
do it the way I've been trained to do it.
amen.
They actually got it from Henry David Thoreau, but that's another thing.
But that's still interesting.
Well,
Yeah.
this is the benefit we have. We have the luxury of standing on those philosophical giants, giants of peace who walked before us. We have the honor and opportunity to carry their work forward in
If we
sharing our
so
wisdom.
choose, right? Because we talked about how in order for this to happen, we all must get together.
Well,
Which means in a way we must believe the same thing. How can we get together and change the thing if half of us think the way to do it is through violence and half of us think it's through peace?
I've been trying to get to this for a little while. Okay.
Glad I re-encapsulated it for you, Dan. I
Well,
set you up perfectly. Go ahead.
it's the same question of this: can we change peacefully, or is it required violence? Is it required
I
force?
agree. Similar question, yeah.
But we're
We
already
see,
together. Only you can separate yourself from yourself. The ones that want the violence, those are the ones that want that. They're perpetuating the separation, trying to replace those they say they want to replace by becoming them.
Yeah, in some ways, yeah.
that's what's happened in the past, and it's brought us to today. And what I truly have faith in is that God is with us today. We only live right now. I've learned a lot in the past, and I've been asking my spirit what is logical, what is the best place to take these ideas of reform and change. How about to the people who can bring the reform and the change?
Nonsense.
So if our conceptual we includes the people of wealth, people who have influence and power, authority, if our we can include some of them, guess what? Our options just fucking increased.
All right. So in order to include them, that means they must be on the same ways, the peaceful bullshit that we're on, right? And in order for the odds of getting someone in high stature who is on our same plane is a statistical zero.
Yeah, they're not going to want a Geo Metro versus a fucking Ferrari, dude. Like, that's just the realistic money, you know? Like, how do you get those people to come on our side, Jack? Like, because they're involved.
Well, when you stop talking, please. I mean, yes, I've thought about this is difficult. And how do you accomplish this? Don't just dismiss it because it's a new idea for you.
No, I got ideas of accomplishing it. Go ahead. But let me hear yours.
Well, it's the other line, kind of the lesson I'm trying to share on these streams is the idea of allowance, becoming one with the creator of time.
How does that get me to Pelosi to help me? How does that happen?
Well, you watch, you use your perspective on the world and all that you know, and then you imagine success. How do I reach that success? And then go backwards. Who can I think of that might enjoy trying to help me achieve success? And then, because there's other people that will align based on opposition to the Federal Reserve. Others would join for the purpose of, supporting peace. Different people will have different reasons for
so
joining.
You're saying you get Nancy to join by getting people to help you, powerful people, assumably. Again, you have the same problem. You're going to a bunch of Nancys to help you get rid of a Nancy, right?
That'd be like Joe Cool living his whole life as a black man, and then you saying, Joe Cool, you're a white man. You gotta live your life as a white man. Accept it.
No, it's not the same.
That would be like him having to do that because these people about money and life.
But people with extreme wealth have already separated themselves from it. We just need to bring them back to the collective to see their importance and their value on how that wealth can actually, help the collective, and in turn, they'll be forever, rewarded for helping the collective.
But they already feel that. They already feel
that. Hey, Snafu, you don't know that, and I know people from firsthand experience who know otherwise. Okay.
So you're telling me that these elites don't feel rewarded already, or have ritualistic rewards coming after death?
Yeah, that's what that is true, Snafu. That's what you're being told. Jesus.
They feel rewarded in mammon, in money, in possessions, not in their soul.
They
Very good.
exactly. They have a mental disorder. Many of them
Very
still
good,
live in
Jack.
fear based on, commitments
Right,
they've
worldly
made,
things.
Let him go. Let
obligations.
him
Would
go.
you
You're right.
shut
You're
the
right, Snafu, but let
You're
him go.
done, Snafu. What was he right about?
No,
Hold on.
he was wrong. You were right.
No. He was just right about one comment,
He was,
worldly
he was
things.
confirming what Jack was saying.
No. I was just saying that one word, worldly things. He's right that they're concerned with worldly things, but he shouldn't interrupt Jack to say that.
I don't think that's an accurate assessment of the head state necessarily. They've done a lot of studies actually on how wealth impacts people's how much they care about disadvantaged people. And what they found is that the more money you have, basically, the less you care about people, taken on its own, but that's super easy to reverse if you just remind them, right? It's just a mental set point. Your mental set point. If you have all the resources, you're not used to worrying about resources, so you don't worry about other people worrying about resources. It just leaves your head.
About it.
Jesse, what you're saying, if Flo is correct, is extremely feasible all of a sudden. We'd have to remind them of what exactly, I guess we determine that later.
What it means to be human.
Touching their heart.
And how do you remind them? I'm more interested in how do you remind them?
This is where I thought this might be easier than it's been, but through conversations, right? Through people caring to understand each other, schedule a time with someone and set aside, 30 minutes, an hour of time to get to know and better understand. Once facts are presented, dude, bringing peace to this world is a no fucking brainer. I'm just trying to talk to the people who might have the means and methods to help get it done.
The answers are very simple. It's just people that complicate things.
I think in some form, at least, it's pushing a button, what we've been trained to do. If I can get to the right motherfucker, I'll push a button and have him do it for me. I'm not so sure that's
Fear
the
of the
solution.
unknown. Yeah, fear of the unknown. People are so afraid that because they don't know it, that once the snowball starts rolling, then here we go. Hop on for the ride.
That's what we have to do. That's the way we do it. Thank you. If you guys give me a
Fear of
second.
the unknown is why we think that rich people are all evil.
No, it's not.
I think that celebrities probably are all evil.
Rich people is logical, Flo. It's logical.
No, you can be rich and not be evil. It's just everybody on here is a broke motherfucker, and nobody knows any rich people.
The end of that,
but they're just people.
It's logical that 90% of people who are rich would be evil. Would you agree with that part?
Why? I don't.
Not a lot of evil. No, there's not
because
a lot of
because in this capitalist society, and probably in all, but we'll stick here. The easiest route, and we know motherfuckers love easy to becoming rich is to fuck over everybody else. Just start a company and pay your employees as least as possible. That's how you get fucking money over here. And the characters.
I disagree.
You don't think that's the easiest and most popular way of making money here in America?
Short term, I think that when you rip people off, it has short term benefits and long term consequences that outweigh the benefits. That's why I never.
If you're a narcissist, you don't think that.
Well, you don't think narcissists can think objectively long term in their self interest?
Only in their self interest.
I mean, and if we're talking about the elites, like they obviously think long term. They think way longer term than we do.
They're obviously narcissists too, right? Studies will show that any powerful motherfucker, blah blah blah, or chases that shit are probably narcissists and different fucked up psychopathies.
I mean, I don't think. Is there a study that shows that, or are you just saying that?
No. There are many. Jordan Peterson talks about it. He's went into it in depth because he studied that shit.
Well, I just think we're all human at the end of the day, and they did a study in Israel where they found that a judge will issue harsher rulings if they haven't eaten lunch yet. And then after lunch, and then after lunch they'll be a lot nicer. And it's just like that. It's like a hungry man has no respect for law and authority. This is just basic
That's
shit.
why
You know,
why
so
every time we
you
ask
know,
why black motherfuckers act out why y'all rob and steal more, it's what dude said. A hungry man has no fucking respect for authority. We're hungrier than you cats.
yeah, they're
And the
worried
current
about something
system
else.
that we're in is a snakes will prosper system. So the long-term play is to be a snake if you want to succeed in the current system that we're in. But that's not the proper balanced system.
I disagree with that. That's so even within the system, right?
Yeah.
You especially need to be able to work with other people. If you're just a snake, nobody's going to work with you.
Well,
That
then you agree. Well, then you partly agree with Jack, because you're saying there's benign actors within the system,
Yeah,
and
I think
all we have to do is
individuals,
find them. You know,
right?
you
I
know,
think that there
you know what I mean?
are benign individuals within the system. I don't think the system itself is benign. I think it's corrupt.
Right. It's been created.
Which is why I don't want to reform it.
Look at it this way: our government system, while it was created and imagined by some brilliant men of their time who really thought about things and things of the future, it has become corrupted. Now, even though they were brilliant at that time, they still saw real separations, even in the classification of color, right? So even though it
I don't
says
think
the
they
right
did.
words
That's
in
not
some
baked
ways,
into the system. It was a feature of society
right?
Anyway, whatever.
Here's the point: it was written from a place of ignorance, still
But
seeing
that's
that
not written into the
division.
law.
it's written in the
Jesus
Declaration of
Christ.
Independence, yeah.
No, it's not.
It
3/5
was
human.
written with the idea
Not
to
written in-
reinforce separation
3/5
and
human is not in there.
illusions of authority.
Not in the Constitution, or not in the whatever.
The Declaration of
Sorry,
Independence.
Jack, but he keeps saying this at me, and he's wrong. It's not written in the Declaration of Independence.
Is it in the Constitution then?
I'm muting myself. Look it up if you want to find where it is.
It's in the Declaration. I think you mean it's not in the Constitution. It's in the Declaration of Independence. They should be counted as 3/5 human beings. I only got one phone. I'm not gonna look it up.
The point is this system was built at a time where humans still looked at each other as separate, as though
I love it.
Borders matter, states matter, authority.
Of course, we were right
matters.
behind a war with the European. Yes, of course, we had that mindset. The French helped them, and the Indians helped us, and vice versa. Yes, we had factions. Yeah.
So how about this? We know history. Mankind, our ancestors went through dark ages. Literacy was not as common as it is.
It's not so
today.
great now.
People were more ignorant than today. So what would be common? Fear. Fear was obviously a way to control, and it's been a way to control each other for a long time. But you know what's a better way? Love. See, Machine Lies in his earlier stuff, he made a comment about God calls forth, right? And it's love that brings forth, love that calls us forth. It's the desire, that mystery of inspiration that brings us forth. But what prevents us moving forward? Fears. Fears, temptation, worldly, lustful, material desires. And guess what? Capitalism is focused on the worldly material.
We know that the love of money is the root of all
And
evil, and you
also,
gotta love it to work that fucking hard and neglect
unfucked
everybody to get there.
And if left unfucked with, it's still the best system for prosperity globally. We can look at history, we can look at society, we can look at everything. Free market capitalism is good for everybody. It's by far the best system that's ever been invented.
No, it's not.
I want you to name one that's ever been invented that's better.
I would disagree that this is one.
Resource-based economy. It has not been largely implemented.
That is a resource-based economy.
No, it's not. Here, tell you what. I'll agree to the capitalism, even though I don't. I'll agree to this concept that you're proposing about an actual exchange economics.
Well, I want you to substantiate what the fuck you're saying.
Well,
it cannot happen with secrets. Human competition with secrets places lives on the line. Wars.
There's a
Jack
lot
is
of
saying,
claims
wait.
there that I
Let me
would
try
like
to
to unpack.
rephrase Jack Sick. I think he is saying that you haven't seen capitalism the way it's supposed to work yet because of the secret bullshit.
Amen.
You can see but you can see expansions and contractions of the free market, right?
Like how you when I was asking who's they, and then you said it's the people who own the private banks. Well, isn't that capitalism?
That is not capitalism. That is
I'm kind of confused.
Capitalism.
I'm speaking of free market capitalism, which is basically the right to own property and the principle of non-coercion. You can
where does
engage
that
in any
exist?
transaction.
Right now we got global. Right now we have.
Don't forget he said that will play
non-coercion.
That will be
it's never happened. It's never happened.
Is based out of coercion.
Capitalism still puts people against each other. And when we have so much abundance, when people work together, they don't have to have this scorecard of how much you have. It's a whole different system that we've never seen.
An article or something
Jesse,
about
this is
that,
the first time I disagree with you because
people have
take
abundance,
score.
they don't do something. I sent you
People
something about
compare themselves to others. It's human nature.
Agreed.
You cannot have a completely cooperative society that doesn't try to compete with the other person no matter what, unless you get rid of humans.
I disagree as well. It's not human nature. It's the human nature that's been taught to us. That's what we think human nature is, because there's never been a system where we've actually had total cooperation.
Look at nature. Hold on, Joe. Let me get this. Look at nature. Where the fuck have you ever seen something not compete?
Well, look. Hold on. Hold your horses real quick. The first thing is that we have a global system today already, and it's not the states competing with each other. It's actually run by global corporations, and nonprofit and a nonprofit industrial complex. So already there's not capitalism. We're not dealing with capitalism. We're dealing with global
right now.
socialism. We're dealing with
right now. In my opinion, we're in a fascist society right now because the government chooses the private sector winners.
Because you have large scale technologies that run governments, and there's only a few corporations on Earth that get to run those large scale technologies.
Private business runs government.
Exactly.
Here.
Exactly.
Let me jump in here with something I think Flo said about humans have always been comparing each other. Yes, that partial truth it's a good quality too, because comparisons is how we learn, it's how we grow, it's how we know better. But as the story goes, there was a real beautiful angel in the heavens who started comparing himself to all others, started dropping some divisions, ideas of division because of one's better than another. Next thing, the wars are going on in heavens, and they've been passed down to the humans. And I think we can outgrow that.
But why do you think that? That's so ingrained in human nature. Not talking about envy. That's a toxic version of competition. Competition is so baked. It's more baked into our universe than anything else is competition. It's how everything works.
So is evil. It would seem so.
Yeah, evil's there. Evil's there, competition is there, or
so let's do a thought experiment. What happens? What are kids going to do for fun during recess if we make competition obsolete?
They can play games.
You cannot, because the game is to crush you.
Yeah, what's the game?
The game is not to crush.
I want to know what the non-competitive game is that they're going to play.
Hey, you know what?
This is going great.
No one is saying competition. This is such a ludicrous. It's so.
No, that's exactly what dude was saying. Competition is a bad thing.
Okay, it doesn't have to be the primary fucking technique for survival. Okay, we should not be competing with each other for survival, for domination, for exploitation.
That's what dude.
That's what's happening.
That's the
There can
world.
be
That's the
sports
universe you're born
competition.
into.
There could be different types of competition, but when you're
Yeah.
competing for others for survival, that means you're willing to step on somebody else's head to feed your family. That's a broken system when we
What
have
if
so
I'm
much
competing
abundance.
for my business to be better than yours? I'm a good man. Is that competition okay? Because if I'm in a fucking laundromat business and
Okay.
so are you, I want to crush you.
How
It's
about
nothing.
this?
Yeah.
If you're focused on service, that's one thing.
Very
If
good.
you're focused on winning,
Very
you'll
good.
do what it takes to make your competitor lose.
Very good. And thank you for
That's
that.
where
It's
we're
the
at
most
today.
I like it.
privileged conversation I've ever seen.
Service.
If you're trying to feed your family, abso-fucking-lutely, you should crush anybody who stands in your way immediately. Anything else is fuck-
Selfishness creates
That's
billionaires. It's a
That's
mental disorder.
perpetuating that system.
It's a
That's
mental
doing exactly
see,
what
this
our
is why-
current system
This is why I
teaching
said this is
people
the
to
most
crush
privileged
others.
conversation I've ever heard. Because what I said is, if your family's starving, and you all went, yeah, that's terrible to be mean to other people.
Hey, Flo, your family would not be starving if we didn't live in a society where everyone's thinking it's them for themselves.
I guess you
That's right,
better
Zach.
hope that God beams you up soon, because that's all we have.
Well, we can change it. This is what I'm
but
saying.
we're going to extremes with that starving shit, right? I'm
But
the
the
brokest
principle
motherfucker
carries.
on the panel, and I'm nowhere near starving. I eat well, right? There's not a
Right.
thing. You're not really starving where you have to crush, hurt other motherfuckers. You know that comes up rarely.
Right. That I agree with that. We aren't
Well,
here.
Right now, there's like a couple of news stories I saw. Roughly 45 million people who are facing food shortages right now today.
Where?
Fellow human beings like us. Between a lot of the uprisings in the African nations right now, it's created a lot of unrest. People are moving, migrating, and
Have you looked at the improvement global hunger we've made over the last 100 years?
that doesn't help those families and children who are suffering today.
It did for a lot of them. There's a lot
Very
of things
good,
it did.
Flo. That was dope. It did
Maybe-
for a lot of. That was dope.
Maybe it gave the appearance of helping them, right? Giving food to some people rather than actually educate them so they can,
You're determined for
so
things
those
to be wrong,
nations
aren't
can actually harvest and profit from their own resources rather than being eternally slaves
That's
to
dope.
this consumption
Wait,
of America.
That's a good one, right? A lot of what we do is these companies that go in for profit and just hit them and give a motherfucker something, and those people, 85-95% of their budget goes to them, and only 10% of the money even gets to the people in terms of food. If that effort was focused on teaching them, giving them their own natural resources and all of that shit, they'd have been a lot better.
Yeah,
off.
and that's another fact about these programs is that they actually don't teach people actual skills. They just give people technology and give people vaccines and stuff, and that's basically all they do. And then and then once people learn these skills of how to use the machines in these factories, then they have to buy the technology back from the West. So they just set them up so they build their infrastructure for them. And then they have to buy all this technology, and then they're like, well, how do we use the machines that we run on this infrastructure? Well, they say, well, you'll have to buy them from us. You know what I mean? So they
This
sell
is
them
how
back.
you become
So,
rich, Flo. And back to our other
that's
argument,
actually how it works.
The
They
person who
create
is
that.
willing to do that is the person who has a better shot at who coming rich. He's the insidious fuck, is the guy who thought of all of that shit.
But who's yes, I agree. That's how economic capital or colonization works. But ultimately what you have is you have international lenders leveraging either governments specifically or NGOs like the UN that are basically just a conglomerate of governments.
I'm absolutely on board with you.
Still the government. The reason that corporations do what they do is that the government is being weaponized.
Flo, what does when it works right, the system that you see, what does it look like? What's different from this one?
I think
the capitalist system. I think
the
is
capitalist
the
system.
Yeah.
I mean, and to be completely honest, I don't know if I think
My
that
man.
pure capitalism will ever be able to exist
My
because,
man.
but I think that the less of a centralized authority there is,
yes,
in an economy, the
very
better off
good.
everybody is. And I
Very
think that you
good.
can
That's
see
the
that
key
that's
to a
been
lot of
demonstrated
shit.
throughout history, right?
I think that it will be a key. I got to try to remember that. Decentralize the authority. That's interesting, and it's correct.
Yeah, I
would
just want to
truly
point out that that whatever cigar Joe Cool was smoking was burning for like a whole hour. I don't even know how that. I don't even know how that's possible. I mean, this is a
They do
presentation
burn
about
for about
time.
half hour. They
This is a
burn, bro.
presentation about time, and I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it was burning for that long. But yeah,
They burn for a long time, bro.
Well, this is our opportunity to bring the change, to bring change to this world. And I spent over 40 years believing I could do nothing. And so far, you know, I don't have a lot to accomplish it, but this is what I do trust and believe. Guys, it is time for all of us to increase our faith, overcome our fears, start recognizing the time we have with each other. It ain't gonna last forever.
Great.
You know, so
Never
especially
does.
your loved
Thank
one.
fucking God.
Thank God.
Not true. Life is forever. It's eternal. It keeps going. So don't think that this is the where you get off.
Going.
Well,
Yeah.
we're here until we end. And we don't know when that'll be, and we don't know what the future might reveal for us. But what does matter is today. Because it's from today that the future is starting.
What did
It's
we
like that.
learn today then? We do these things. I want to make sure I know what I learned today. No way I remember because I'm super high.
This is the end of the learning
It is.
section.
I'm
We
not
should start wrapping it up anyway. So yes,
I'm not sure we learned whether we're gonna win this through peace or fighting. And it probably ends up being a bit of both. That's the adult way to think of things.
For the sake of our agents, it ends up with peace, of course, obviously.
Thanks, Flo.
We're right. We got
you
to get
motherfuckers.
rid of this private bullshit that controls the government that we're trying to have, that we illusion that we think we have. We got to break that shit. And someone, Flo, said just they need to be reminded. I got to find out in my head what that means, because I can't call him and say, you know, like he's a sleeper cell and say a few words. Man is good, do kind things, and he's gonna wake up and be kind. So how do you remind him? All right,
Hold
I gotta
on.
think of that.
And I'm looking for a link of the what I was referencing when I started talking about that, and I'll drop it either in the main chat or the back chat when I find it.
Please, thank you. Planting seeds, Joe. You know about that. Every conversation we have is an opportunity for us to plant seeds of wisdom, to plant the ideas. And when we re-encounter each other, that's an opportunity to hopefully nurture the ideas. And Joe,
Very
damn
good.
it,
Very good.
you're a slow grower. I've been planting seeds of peace with you for a long time.
I heard he's just a shower.
Hey, you know, we are on board. My methods may be different from yours, but and I'm arrogant. I'll speak arrogantly. No chance you're serious about this piece of shit as I am. No chance you're gonna do as good a job at making it happen. No, you know, that we're gonna stop wars, motherfucker. You got competition, so you're not really getting me on board. I'm trying to fucking
Joe,
crush some shit.
I like how you threw me that little side thing, the competition. You didn't even know you did it. Way to reinforce, way to prove me right. I just won the competition for competition.
I hope y'all know what he's talking about, because it's funny. Right after all this, I'm still competitive as fuck.
You didn't do that on purpose?
I did not. I swear I did not. No.
Nice.
And Joe asked what we learned today, so we learned finally Flow State has something to disagree with me with.
Oh,
And
wait, that's not something new. Flo finds disagreements like
but
a
not
fucking
enough for most observers. I let far too much skate. Sometimes you start thinking you can ice skate.
Hey, Flo, you are good at that. Jack, I wanted to say, I
At
know we're
what?
wrapping up, but I wanted to say, I hope that you appreciate Flo. He's a smart guy, and he's very soft with you, right? Right. He's you know, I mean, really, he's a smart guy. He sees all the fucking the shit that makes me rage. Motherfucker, he would see him too, but he's very fucking
He's
soft and
smooth.
shit.
Yep.
Yeah, so he works hard to fucking be here beside you and be your buddy. I meant to say that. I hope you recognize that.
Very balanced, yes.
Actually, hey Joe, that reminds me. Sorry, machine lies, but from yesterday, I did get triggered by you, and it was on the discussion. Oh wait, it was on the discussion of laziness, but
okay.
Part of it was I showed my fear, my egoic reaction, and that's what comes out. The fear was shown as it wasn't anger, and I wasn't afraid, but it was frustration.
Are you
And
aware that I'm sitting on the other side of that conversation? The more you rage, the more I say I see fear. I'm aware of that in the moment. So the more you tell me it's not fear, the more I say it's definitely fear. Right?
I know. But the conclusion, I still disagree with the conclusion. But I am holding life is a gamble. Sometimes we don't know if we're right or wrong until after the results
And
show.
I'm patient. I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay with waiting. I'll wait with you. I'm not rushing you, Jack. I'm here for the ride. I love every day, every moment. I'm not the guy that thinks low of you or whatever the fuck perception these guys have put on you, and you're starting to believe yourself. I am not in that club.
Joe, I know that. Machine Lies brought this up in his discussion on time. Patience. Patience comes from the Most High, right?
I would agree with that, bro.
Yes.
I've been chasing that dude, and I've never been more patient. I swear by it, and I've been never chasing God like I chase him right now. It was saying that patience is a result of chasing that guy.
I believe. There's probably a solid connection there. I'm going to think about that later. But, hey, can we wrap this up?
Oh, yeah. I'll let you say goodbye to you guys. I loved it. Machine Lies. Great meeting you. I've seen your name. In fact, I do believe I put a vid and you were on panel. You didn't say nothing, but I'm sure your name was on a panel that I was on. I put it in a vid. All right. It was nice meeting you and the rest of you guys. Love, peace as always. Love you guys, man. You guys put in your work today. Right? That's what it was about. And you put it in today. Be easy.
Respect. Thank you, brother. Jesse, Flo. Oh heavens.
What are we doing? Final thoughts?
Please.
I kind of want to wait till after Jesse makes his.
Please.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I was distracted. I'm drawing a blank.
I was just going to say, Jack, when things are going and panels are going good and you want it to wrap up, you can always just leave the panel going. You take off for a while, do your thing, because there's so much energy and conversation that, today was like, I couldn't wait to finish what I had to finish so I could get back in the car just to get back in this conversation. It was definitely a wonderful conversation. You're facilitating something really wonderful here. We're talking about real things that are going to help impact the collective. And I love you, brother. Just keep doing what you're doing. And just think about leaving that whenever you want to leave. Just ask people, hey, do you guys want to stick around and talk while I go eat and, whatever else you need to do. And I'll come back in a while. So anyways, love you all. I'm just making some food and we'll see you next time we see you.
Jesse, thank you, brother. I enjoyed today. Tommy showed up.
I figured out what Joe's thing is. When Joe hears like something profound, have you ever seen these videos of when black people see magic tricks on the street and they lose their fucking shit when they see magic on the street? That's what he's doing.
he's doing that thing when they lose their shit on the street at a magic trick. But all you got to do is be like, what if CAT spelled dog? And he's like, woo, woo, boy, that's the shit I'm talking about. What if CAT? But
Tommy, is that seriously what you returned for?
no. I wanted to throw out the flow state. I'm technically on the Machine Lies channel, Jack. Relax. Flow state, you're good at collecting clips. How would you like to just round stuff up? Maybe leave it a private video. Get with me. I'll take that stuff, utilize it for things, give you a credit in the finished product. The same with you, Lucko Deer. I know you're listening, Lucko Deer. You find a lot of good stuff too that you don't utilize the way I could.
Tommy, are you inviting me to form a superhero team with you? I'm in.
Well, the reason you guys are always on me, I mean, I understand everybody's like, where's this video? Where's that video? It's like, dude, this is like monotonous classroom work.
He said yes.
Okay, because right now I'm looking for Joe Cool flip outs. You know how he starts swinging and swaying? We're gonna make him like a.
All right, I'm gonna do a live stream later, I think, so we can just talk about it then if you're gonna be around.
All right, we're gonna make Joe Cool a Mike Tyson's Punch Out boxer.
Okay.
All right, I'll see you on your thing later.
Okay.
God bless. Flo, thank you, brother. Sincerely.
Yeah. And I would just like to point out that I've been right about, I won about competition, and I just was right about me saying that Tommy and I are friends, even though he likes to pretend that he's a lone wolf. And now I probably just fucked it up again. But anyways, I don't really have anything else to say. I was kind of in and out. I was paying more attention here than there, but it was a good conversation. Machine Lies, always love hearing what you have to say, and I especially, I suppose, probably enjoy the arguments because I like all you guys, and I like having an outlet to express that with people that I like, even if it is aggressive and hostile, and you guys are all wrong. But anyways, I am having this live stream later, open panel. I'll drop a link in a second here, and you're all welcome if you care to join.
Please and thank you.
Yep.
Respect. Yeah. Hey, and Flo, what Joe said too, I've noticed that as well. You're very wise, and you know how to work with me, and I appreciate the patience you've offered to me. So respect for all of you guys. Machine Lies, my brother.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, that was quite a panel that we had. I think it was fruitful. You know, we were able to guide a lot of those discussions in a good direction. So I think there was a lot of positive results through many different avenues that they opened up. But yeah,
we bounced off the topic, but we touched on a lot of important human traits, and this mystery of time. It's easy to ignore. It's easy to get, have our lives taken control of by time, by someone else's perceptions, someone else's opinions of our time. It's really easy to lose ourselves in time. And yet, man, you make yourself part of the moment. Capture like the world out there. I'm seeing out my window and I can see the sun kind of setting. I can't see the sun, but I see that evening ray on the trees outside the window. There's a moment of beauty that's everywhere, and it's available for us to capture. And that's what makes time worth remembering. Capturing the moments.
Yeah, and that goes to the fact of grace itself and the realization of grace as a principle within with our experience of life, and having a sense of gratitude that the grace of this moment, you know, that we don't deserve it, that it doesn't really owe us anything, yet we are to take hold of it and to proceed from it, whether for trial or error, and that the opportunity itself is a gift. And that's why I said earlier that timing needs opportunity, you know, and actually, you know, I wanted to read a passage from a samurai book, you know, where he says, above all, the way of the samurai should be in being aware that you do not know what is going to happen next, and in querying every item day and night. Victory and defeat are matters of the temporary force of circumstance. The way of avoiding shame is different. It's simply in death. Even if it seems certain that you will lose, retaliate. Neither wisdom nor technique has place in this. A real man does not think of victory or defeat. He plunges recklessly towards an irrational death. By doing this, you will awaken from your dreams. and that's just what it says. It's about seizing the opportunity, you know, and facing your fears, and you know, and not being afraid of victory or defeat. And I think ultimately he's telling people, you know, how to live without fear and live in the moment, you know, you know, and I think that that's important lesson for people, you know.
Brother, it is so important. Amor fati, as you brought up earlier,
That's
right?
right.
Embrace the fate, embrace your, is it dharma? Is that the right word for it? Your path, your dharma?
Well, I think
maybe
it would
that's
be
not-
more well, dharma is just a general word for religion.
Okay.
In
Yeah,
the
you're right.
yeah, in the Hindi kind of matrix. So dharma just means religion.
The order.
So yeah, so it's an interesting word, but yeah, dharma is
But,
it's kind of like practice, and that's
well,
interesting. Practice has to do with time as well, you know. You know,
practice makes perfect. Maybe that's why reincarnation is a possibility, right? We live to become perfected. And oh, that is something I've learned and considered before. God, the creator, the creation is perfect, you know, in a perspective. And so that can include us. Why can't we become perfected? I mean, should we sit in our natural beingness of now? The past is done. As we sit purely in our natural beingness, are we not complete? These are the thoughts I wonder, man. How long can I continue being me without succumbing to temptation, falling for the fears? How long can I go before before Angry Cock comes out? I don't know, brother. Do you want time for final words yourself?
well, I guess I'll just hit people with this, that you know, the devil works through reorganizing of the truth that's already there, and that's how deception works. You know, time is a fundamental part of how we see deception. And yeah, just I thank you guys for joining us and talking about the paradoxes of time on this long journey here. But yeah, we'll definitely be here to address any more questions that you guys have in the future.
Amen.
You know, yeah, thank you.
I'm going to wrap us up from here. Brother Machine Lies, thank you so much. Thank you to all of you who joined the panel today, who joined in the chat, all of you who may tune in at a later time here or on the Machine Lies channel. Please, if you haven't yet, this man drops some wisdom. He's a well-studied, well-versed, and articulated man. I don't know if that's the correct use of words.
Thank you.
Anyway, you get the point. Give them a subscribe. Brothers and sisters, please share your love today. The time is today. This is when we live, and bring forth the better future for us all. Till next time, choose love Peace for everyone and live without fear. God bless you.